Hello, hello. It is Saturday night Yankee baseball from southern Wisconsin. This is Bombers Game Mike, and I'm Paul D. Thank you for joining me here tonight. And after last night, which was a pitcher's duel that was, it was a pitching dominant game, but not by the Yankees. Even though, in all fairness, going into it, it was definitely billed like it should be. Let me adjust the mic here. However, that's not what happened. Max Fried had a couple of bad innings, and Mizorowski, plus the Brewer bullpen, that was all she wrote. That's all she wrote. And unfortunately, it turned into a 6-0 loss. But it's been 24 hours, and this is game 2 of 3. We're going to start off here in about, first pitch is about 3.5 minutes. But it is Cam Schlittler Day. Happy Cam Schlittler Day. So hopefully the Yankees can go out and repay the favor of Mizorowski from last night, considering Schlittler at the moment is 5-1 with a 1.51 ERA or something like that. Of course, they're going to be having quite a bit of competition here. They're not going to just be able to run wildly on this one, to say the least, because once again, the Brewers are sending out somebody that is worthwhile, and that is the 24-year-old left-hander Kyle Harrison at 3-1 and a 2.12 ERA. He got dealt twice last year. He was sent from the Giants, where he was a top pitching prospect, to the Red Sox in the Rafael Devers deal. And then in the offseason, he got sent from the Red Sox to the Brewers. So he went from San Francisco, one coast, to Boston on the other coast, and landed just north of Chicago. And you know what? Based on those two cities, I think he lucked out, folks. I think he definitely lucked out. Both of those teams are horrible, and the Brewers are definitely not. And God, who would want to live in San Francisco or Boston right now or ever? Just saying, just saying. And so you have this premier matchup tonight of these young, really fireballing pitchers. In the case of Kyle Harrison, a really plus, excellent movement, excellent location, four-seam fastball, a really devastating slider down and into righties, down and away to lefties, and a change that he's working on. And you know Cam Schlittler, four-seam fastball, cutter up, cutter down, a show-me curveball. He's nasty. He's great. And we love him. And boy, do the Yankees absolutely 1,000% need him to step up tonight. And the Yankee offense really needs to get up here tonight and remind us of who they are and what they're all about. Because last night, I get it, they ran into somebody that if he stays healthy and stays interested and all that fun stuff, he could be a generational talent. So the first question I'm going to ask is, what do you think Cam's line will be tonight? On top of that, how do you think Spencer Jones is going to do with his first assignment manning center field tonight for the Bombers? Now let's pull up that lineup here, and then we'll be ready to get started, and you will be getting the Yankees at the Brewers from Miller Park. No, we are never, ever calling it American Family Field. I have too much respect for you as the audience to accept that. So, for the Yankees tonight, batting leadoff, the right-hander, and playing at first base, Paul Goldschmidt. Batting second at DH is the lefty Rice. Batting third and right is Judge. Batting fourth and left is Bellinger. Batting fifth at third is Ahmed Rosario, and against the lefty Harrison. Batting sixth at second is Jazz Chisholm Jr. Batting seventh at short is Jose Caballero. Batting eighth out in center field for the first time is Spencer Jones. And batting ninth and behind the dish is Austin Wells. That is the Yankee lineup here for tonight. So we got ourselves quite a matchup here. Harrison, 6 starts, 3-1, a 2.12 ERA, 29 2/3 innings pitched, 2 home runs, 9 walks, 35 Ks. Opponents are hitting .222 against him this year. And as I was saying to you folks, he is nasty. All right, this is not much of a break from what the Yankees experienced last night, unfortunately. But you want to know what? They are one of the best teams in baseball. And if you're going to be one of the best teams in baseball, you have to face and beat and overcome some of the best talent in baseball. And the Brewers throw a lot of that at you in their starting rotation. So, all fun. So, Jackson Trio for the Brewers is out in left. Garrett Mitchell in center. Sal Frelick in right. Luis Rengifo at third. Hamilton at short. Turang at second. Bowers at first. Contreras behind the plate. And Kyle Harrison, of course, is on the mound for Milwaukee. They'll be starting here in just a minute. We do seem to be just 1 minute past scheduled game time. 6:10 in the Central Time Zone, 7:10 p.m. here in the East. Here's Paul Goldschmidt. He's standing in the box. Here's the first pitch. Swinging strike. Four-seam fastball up and away on the outside corner. And the count is 0-1 to Goldie. So he's in there against the lefty Harrison. Here's the pitch. Hit on out to left field. Going back is the left fielder. He's looking up, and it is gone. A long solo home run to left center field. And the Yankees will take a 1-0 lead. Ho, 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 ho. Paul Goldschmidt getting the Yankees right off the hump from last night. They take a quick 1-0 lead on the second pitch of the game. Talk about coming around real quick here, folks. Nobody was happy watching last night. But watching Paul Goldschmidt deposit that one somewhere just short of the banks of Lake Michigan is very positive. And there's a strike outside corner at the knees to Ben Rice. The count is 0-1. So quick 1-0 lead for the Bombers here on the solo home run by Paul Goldschmidt. Goldie, oh, that's some beautiful stuff right there. Beautiful stuff. 1-0 Yankees. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Slider down and away and out of the zone. Count is 1-1. Now, there's some debate as to whether he truly throws a slider or a slurve. It's pretty much academic. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Popped straight on up, right behind second base. Underneath is the shortstop. He makes the catch for the first out here in the top of the first inning. Yeah, there's some debate there about whether Harrison throws a true slider or a slurve. I mean, talk about pedantic. Who gives a shit? All right? It's basically a slider, and it's not quite a sweeper. So that's what it is. I'm going to call it a slider. I don't need to be jamming words together unnecessarily. I do that all by myself. Here's the first pitch to Judge. Strike down and in on the inside corner, right at the knees. The count is 0-1 to the captain, who's hitting .270 with 15 home runs so far in this campaign. One out here in the top of the first inning. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike, four-seam fastball up and away, 98 miles per hour to the Yankee captain. 39 games, .270, 15 home runs, 29 RBIs, a 1029 OPS so far. And his 31st game is here. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Four-seam fastball out and away, just missed the zone. 97 miles per hour. And count is 1-2. Aaron Judge managed to get a hit last night, but not much more than that. Here's the pitch. Slurve down in the dirt, 81 miles per hour. Not nearly near the zone. Not nearly as close as it needs to be. And the count evens out at 2-2. Stepping in back to the box is Judge, and here's the pitch, 22 pitch. Strike three, down goes swinging right over the top of a slurve, down and in, 83 miles per hour, and that'll be the second out of the inning. Down goes swinging is Judge. And now, coming on up is the cleanup hitter tonight, the lefty and left fielder, one Cody Bellinger, who, for the most part, has really been raking lately. He's hitting .290 at the moment. Here's the first pitch. Strike, slurve, outside corner, just above the knees. Counts 0-1. Bellinger, .290, 5 home runs, 28 RBIs, 899 OPS. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Grounded down the first base side and out of play. And the count is now 0-2 to Belly. Well, this is all happening very quick here so far. Back on the bump is Harrison. He comes set from the full wind. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Strike three. Cheese up and away. 96 miles an hour. And that will do it. However, on the second pitch of the game, Paul Goldschmidt goes deep to left center field. He's given the Yankees a 1-0 lead. It is the Yankees 1 and the Brewers coming to bat here into the bottom of the first inning. I'm Paul D. This is Saturday Night Yankee Baseball. And you are watching, listening, and hopefully enjoying Bombers Game Mic. Well, if I could buy Paul Goldschmidt a beer right now, it'd be a pretty good city to have a lot of options for. At least, some quality domestic ones, to be sure. Now, if you're joining me again and you had watched any of this game last night, something that you will undoubtedly know is that I was talking a bit about visiting, on several occasions, going to Miller Park. And I really do believe it is one of the more underappreciated venues in the game for a lot of different reasons. And granted, the reasons I appreciate it might not be the reasons most people would. But first off, I love the technology of the, open and closed roof there. I think that's really cool. Two, has some of the best beer options in terms of domestic local ones in the game. Now, leading off for the Brewers is Chiriot, followed by Terang. Contreras third, Bowers fourth, Black fifth, Frelick sixth, Mitchell in center is batting seventh, Rengifo batting eighth, and Hamilton at short is batting ninth. So a pretty similar lineup for the most part. And now here comes Cam Schlittler. Here's our boy, folks. Give a holler from my boy. Give a holler from my boy, Cam Schlittler. 25 years old, 5-1, a 1.51 ERA. Really has just been absolutely all world so far this year, coming off of those incredible playoff performances last year. Now, here's the first pitch to Chiriot. Strike, four-seam fastball on the inside corner to the righty Chiriot. Right below the belt, in fact. Count is 0-1. Chiriot, 3 games hitting .530 or something. There's almost no point in giving stats with that small a sample size. Now, Schlittler, he winds and deals the 0-1 pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball right down Broadway. Clocked at 99 miles per hour. And the count is 0-2. To Jackson Chiriot. Yeah. So it would appear that Cam Schlittler certainly at least has his velocity so far. And, that's a good place to start. He looks into Wells for his sign. He has it. He winds, and here's the 0-2 pitch. Up and in a four-seam fastball to the righty Chiriot. Not particularly close to the zone. The count is 1-2. Yeah, alrighty. Schlittler, he once again has his sign. Nobody on, nobody out. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swinging strike three. Down goes Chiriot. And that is the first out in the bottom of the first inning. And the first strikeout tonight for Cam Schlittler. Belly in left, Jones in center, Judge in right, Rosario at third, Caballero at short, Jazz at second, Goldie at first, and of course Austin Wells behind the dish, and naturally Cam Schlittler is on the mound. Now here comes Terang. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike right down Broadway, 98 miles per hour. Terang swing right on through that one. Counts 0-1. Through 33 games, 295, 5 home runs, 22 RBIs, a 928 OPS so far this season for Terang. Schlittler once again has his side. He winds in the 0-1 pitch. Foul down the third base side and out of play. And Schlittler is quickly ahead. No balls and 2 strikes. It is Cam Schlittler day, folks. It is time to get back up on the horse. He already has his sign to the lefty Terang. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Grounded on the right side, fielded there on 2 hops, is Chisholm. Throws to first in time for the second out of the inning. So a rather routine play. Jazz only had to go a step or 2 over to his right, fielding it on a pair of hops. Nice strong throw there right to Paul Goldschmidt, always a defensive anchor. And now here's the 3-hitter, the catcher, William Contreras. 285, 3 home runs, 24 RBIs in 34 games this year. He is a right-handed hitter for the Brewers. So two out, nobody on. Bottom of the first, 1-0 Bombers. Here's the first pitch to Contreras. Fouled back right on off of Austin Wells and his face mask. Counts 0-1. And concern from one catcher to another in that one. He looked back on and made sure he was all right. That is what we like to call professional concern and a little bit of fraternity there at the position. Oh, yeah. That didn't look pleasant, but Austin Wells appears to be just fine. Now, looking in once again for the sign, stepping back into the box is Contreras. It'll be a 0-1 count to the Brewers catcher in the 3-hole tonight. 285, not bad for an everyday catcher. Schlittler has the sign. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Up and in, a sinker, 98 miles per hour. Count is 1-1. So Cam is doing his usual thing so far. Mostly fastballs early on, but we shall see. Now here's the 1-1 pitch. Just missed high, a cutter out over the plate, but it was just a bit too high, almost near the letters. Count is 2-1 to Contreras. Time is resumed by the home plate umpire. Looking in, and from the full wind. Now here's the 2-1 pitch from Cam. Grounded right there, and it hits Schlittler in the foot. He picks it up, he throws over to first, but it's not in time. It hit him, it dropped right into the dirt, and he couldn't find the ball, which gave Contreras just enough time to go and make it to first base unencumbered. And now the training staff's going to come on out here because it looked like he kind of got it. I don't know if he got it on the line or on it. Yeah, he kind of got it slightly on the line. It seems like it caught the back of one of his calves. It took his concentration away for a moment, which is not at all a surprise here. Yeah, so it's the back left calf that got him on that one. That's not the end of the world for him because that's not the push-off foot there. You know, if you're driving off the mound and you have an injury, that's a real issue. But, all right. And they're just testing him out there, just doing some flexing and flexion exercises with his calf, seeing if the pain is all right, making sure that there won't be any obvious hindrances to his mechanics because of the pain. These are all pretty standard things in baseball nowadays. These guys are, the training staff and the medical staff for all of these teams, and the Yankees especially, are incredibly professional and thorough. It is actually a real privilege to watch them do their job. And so right now, he's going to take a few test pitches from the stretch to see if he's all right. And he just threw one basically over the head of Austin Wells here. He's going to throw a few more, continuing from the stretch. So, Bowers, the 4-hitter, is on deck. We're going to see what happens here. Here's a, He seems to have a little odd bit there. He seems to be releasing the ball a bit too high. But for the most part, no question, he's not interested whatsoever in coming out of this game. And I don't think Aaron Boone is remotely interested in removing him from this game. So let's see here. I think they're going to take a look at a couple more because play has yet to resume on this one. Yeah, he keeps missing up and away. It's like his release point is off at the moment. Yeah, because they're showing us all of these test pitches to make sure he's all right. So we're going to find out. Ultimately, it got him on a meaty part on the calf there. I don't think it hit his, his tibia, something like that. That would be something that would be far more a problem for a lot of really good reasons. So we're going to find out. We'll see how he does. He's a tough kid. He does not want to come out of games. Boone doesn't want to. And right now, frankly, he can't afford to. So hopefully things, they shake out here. So runner on first, 2 out, bottom of the first inning, 1-0 Bombers on the power of the leadoff solo home run from Paul Goldschmidt. And boy, has he played a lot in this building in his life. Here is Bowers, the left-handed hitter. Here's the pitch. Down and in, a four-seam fastball out of the zone. Count is 1-0. Yeah, it definitely got him on a meaty part of the calf. I'm sure it's not pleasant. Now, coming set from the stretch is Schlittler. Now, here's the 1-0 pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball down and away to the lefty Bowers, 99 miles per hour. Doesn't seem to be affecting his velocity. And the count is 1-1. He's looking in from the sign. He is from the stretch. Contreras leads off first. Here's a 1-1 pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball right down Broadway, 97 miles per hour. And the count is now 1-2 to Jake Bowers, who himself is playing first base, hitting .259, 5 home runs, 20 RBIs over 33 games this year. Coming set above the belt is Cam Schlittler. Now here's the 1-2 pitch. Swinging strike three. Down goes Bowers. And the Brewers will go down in order. So 1 runner, 4 batters, no runs. 1-1-0 Yankees, 0-1-0 Brewers. I'm Paul D. This is Saturday Night Yankee Baseball from Miller Park in southern Wisconsin on the fair shores of Lake Michigan. And this is Bombers Game Mike. So right now, if you're a Yankee fan, and you see Cam Schlittler, take a low liner off the back of one of his calves, obviously you're always going to hold your breath, right? But here's the good thing. Here's the very good thing. He bounced right back. Now, we can't be sure what's going to happen, right? He could experience some swelling that becomes very prominent here in the half inning. That sort of thing, unfortunately, happens all the time. But I hope that is not what ends up happening. And to Cam's credit, he's a tough kid, man. All right? He is not going to be giving in easily on anything. The dude's a baller in the biggest way. I mean, I could understand why the training staff may see something and, they pull over Booney and they say, hey, Skip, we can't let this go on. In which case, you have to sacrifice short-term goals for, the biggest and most important long-term objectives. That's one of the things that's so incredible about baseball. And no, I did not just pop open a beer. I'm caffing up. And no, it's not like it's not a 20-year-old Four Loko either. But that's a reference for people of a certain age. All right, we are back here for the top of the second inning at Miller Park. Miller Park, never calling it American Family Field. Forget that crap. Now here's the first pitch to Rosario. Up and away, out of the zone, away from the righty. Rosario is in tonight because of the platoon he plays at third between him and Ryan McMahon. McMahon faces righties, Rosario faces lefty. Here's the pitch. Up and in, four-seam fastball out of the zone, 92 miles per hour. Rosario, 262, 4 home runs, 14 RBIs, a 798 OPS over 23 games in part-time duty this year. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Foul back behind the plate and out of play. The count is 2-1 to Ahmed Rosario. And just in case you're wondering, the New York State Lottery is sponsoring the Yes Scorebug. That's what I like to call a great career option. Here's the pitch. Foul down the first base side and out of play. And the count is 2-2. That was a sinker that was high and out and over the plate, 93 miles per hour. That's something. And the Yankees apparently have really been hitting left-handed pitching. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Slurve down in the dirt, about 81 miles per hour, nowhere close to the zone. Down and in on the righty, Rosario. And the count is full, 3-2. It's 1-0 Bombers. Harrison comes set. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Ball 4, out and away, a slurve that did not break. And now the Yankees will have the leadoff man on here in the top of the second inning. That is precisely what they need. 19 pitches so far tonight in 1+ inning of work for Kyle Harrison. Now, here's the 6-hitter tonight, Jazz Chisholm playing second. He's hitting .203 this year. It's a lefty-lefty matchup against Harrison. Here's the first pitch. Out and away, four-seam fastball right over the righty's batter's box, not nearly close to the zone. Jazz was not even remotely tempted. And the count is 1-0. Now, Harrison is indeed from the stretch with Rosario leading off first. Coming set is Harrison at the belly. Looks over to first, and here's the pitch. Swinging strike right over the top of a four-seam fastball down and into the lefty hitting Jazz Chisholm. Count is 1-1. That clocked in about, I believe, 96 or 97 miles an hour. He'll sit in the mid-90s, but he can dial it up high 90s, 100%. Now, here's the 1-1 pitch. Slurve down and away and in the dirt and away from the lefty Chisholm. Count is 2-1. So far, the Yankees have the right idea here. They're not going to do any favors for Harrison. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Ball on a slurve that just missed the plate. It looks like we have an ABS challenge on that one. If it succeeds, it'll be a 2-2 count. If it fails, it will be a 3-1 count. And the challenge has failed. And Milwaukee loses their first of their granted 2 ABS challenges in regulation. They have 1 remaining. It is a 3-1 count now to Jazz Chisholm Jr. Coming set is Harrison. The lefty deals. Ball four-seam fastball high. It had all the plate, but it was just above the belt. And that'll put runners on first and second and nobody out in the top of the second inning. So Rosario at second, Jazz Chisholm at first. And here comes the Yankee shortstop, Jose Caballero, who's knocking .264 so far this year. Harrison is having some real control problems at this point. Rosario, the righty, steps into the box. Here's the first pitch of Rosario. Strike, four-seam fastball swung right through that one. That was middle, 95 miles per hour. Count is 0-1. Jose Caballero, 38 games, .264, 4 home runs, 13 RBIs, a .720 OPS so far on the campaign. Runners on first and second, nobody out. Now here's the pitch. Showing button pulling back is Caballero. It was well high and away, a four-seam fastball. And that will even out the count at 1-1. So Caballero is not afraid to put down a bunt. He's not afraid to do whatever you ask him to do. And when you get him on base, he loves to friggin' run. A lot better at stealing second than third, though, I will say. Here's the 1-1 pitch. He shows bunt and pulls back. It was a slurve in the dirt. Correction, a change in the dirt, down and in. And the count is now 2-1. So right now, Harrison is having a lot of control problems against this Yankee lineup, and this Yankee lineup is not going to do him any favors by challenging garbage for the most part. They tend to be quite patient, put together good at-bats. Time is granted by the home plate umpire, granted at the behest of Jose Caballero. Harrison was taking too long. And he gets back on into the box. Runners on first and second, nobody out. Harrison looks in for the sign. He comes set at the belly. He deals. Hit back and out of play. And the count is even at 2-2. Hit that thing right on back to the backstop. Dig Caballero. 28 pitches so far for Harrison in 1+ inning of work so far. They are making him grind, to say the least. It's a 2-2 count. Coming set at the belly is Harrison. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike 3 on a four-seam fastball up and away, 96 miles per hour. It was not a strike if he had held off, but that is the first out of the inning for the Bombers in the top of the second inning. So, as much as I feel like a jerk in saying the Yankees are not going to do him any favors by swinging at crap, well, that's exactly what Jose Caballero just did, which is a bit uncharacteristic for him. He's been pretty good so far this year. Now, here's Spencer Jones for his first at-bat of the night, and here's the pitch. Slurve down and away, out of the zone and away from the big lefty Spencer Jones, who is hitting .258, 11 home runs, 41 RBIs, and OPS over 900 down in Scranton-Wilkes-Barre this year. It's a lefty-lefty matchup. Here's a 1-0 pitch. And it is popped straight on up behind third base and out to shallow left field. Underneath it is the fielder. He makes the catch for the second out of the inning. And yeah, if you were just about getting excited as I was that maybe, just maybe, Spencer Jones would have his first opportunity to rake with ducks on the pond, he goes and flies out to short left. So 2 on, 2 out here in the top of the second inning. 1-0 Bombers on the power of the solo leadoff home run by Paul Goldschmidt. Now here's Austin Wells in the 9-0. Here's the pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball down and away just above the knees on the outside corner. Count is 0-1. Wellesley, 30 games, 191, 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, a 634 OPS. He's not had a very distinguished year offensively, to say the least. Coming set from the stretch is Harrison. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Four-seam fastball down. Did he check his swing? Yes, says Blue down the third baseline. Even have to count at 1-1. So right now, Harrison is trying to get himself out of a runners on first and second, nobody out jam that he created himself. Now, here's the 1-1 pitch. Swinging strike on a slurve down and away. And the fact of the matter is, Wellesley was not even close on that one. It was not even that great or tempting of a pitch, but that seems to be where he is offensively at the moment, unfortunately. Now, here's the 1-2 from Harrison to the lefty Wells in the pitch. Swinging strike 3. That'll do it. So the Yankees waste 2 base runners with nobody on in the top of the second inning. We head to the bottom of the second inning. It is 1-0 Bombers from Miller Park. Yes, Miller Park in southern Wisconsin on the fair shores of Lake Michigan. And if you've never been, you should make the trip. It's definitely worthwhile. It's Saturday Night Yankee Baseball. I'm Paul D. This is Bombers Game Mike. Well, if you're watching right now or listening or however it is that you are consuming this amazing channel, albeit a channel very much in its infancy, first season, coming up from the bottom, you got to start somewhere. Are you even excited right now about Spencer Jones? Are you more salty on him because of his, of his strikeout rate that he's so well known for? How patient do you think the Yankees really need to be with him? These are legitimate questions. Now, he's going to be able to get his shot. Okay. Dominguez right now, he has the issue with the shoulder. He's on the 10-day IL. We'll see what happens there. And as far as Stanton goes, at the moment, will we get him back before June 1? I don't know. But I think the more encouraging news here is, of course, the Yankees' probable starter for tomorrow night. I think we would all agree the thing that everybody has really been anticipating, which, of course, is the first start of 2026 for Carlos Rodon, coming off of some cleanup surgery on his left pitching elbow. So we're going to see what all happens there. But we are here now back for the bottom of the second, and Cam Schlittler still very much on the mound for the Bombers. And thankfully that. So we'll see how he pans out. He recovered fine, after getting knocked there, but we'll see what happens. Now, here's the fifth hitter, Black, who's hitting .360 right now. 15 pitches so far for Cam. It is 1-0 Bombers in the bottom of the second at Miller Park. Anytime you can name your stadium after a beer, I'm all for it. I am all for it. Now, here's a lefty Black hitting in the 5-hole right now. Schlittler looks in for the sign. He comes to the slow wind. Here's the pitch. Check swing. Did he go around? Yes, on a four-seam fastball on the outside corner, which indeed was officially called. And the count is 0-1. Tyler Black, the DH, 360 through 8 games, no home runs, 7 RBIs, a 905 OPS so far this year is the lefty. And if he's a lefty, one thing is for sure. Cam Schlittler loves to attack lefties with that cutter up, the cutter down. He can be very, very compelling with how he uses it. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swinging strike, four-seam fastball outside corner, just around thigh high, and the count is now 0-2. Yes, and for 25 years or younger, the ERA leaders in the major leagues right now is Cam Schlittler's at the very top with 149, followed right by Michael McGreevy. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Fastball up and away, out of the zone and away from the lefty Black for a ball. Counts 1-2. The other thing that's really interesting about Schlittler is he doesn't do waste pitches. He wants to attack you. He wants to strike you out, but he wants to really attack you and be very efficient in the process. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swinging strike 3. Down goes Black for the first out of the inning. Yep. When you hear that P.C. Richard and Son, it means the Yankees have just struck out an opponent. And it's also, more than anything, in Yankee Stadium, it simply started out as some Sonic branding that was sponsored. And it's kind of turned into like a cheeky, unofficial taunt, which I absolutely adore. Now, here's the first pitch to Frelick. Strike, four-seam fastball, outside corner, thigh high, 99 miles per hour from Schlittler. And Cam Schlittler, they're looking to see how well he's pushing off here, undoubtedly. And he seems fine. His mechanics are okay. They're okay. Now, here's the 0-1 to Frelick. Foul back behind the plate, out of play. It was a four-seam fastball about belt high out on the outside corner. 99 miles per hour. And the count is 0-2 to Frelick in the 6th hole. Frelick, the lefty here. Let's see if he comes in with a cutter on this. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Hit on out to center field. Going to his right is Spencer Jones. He's underneath it. He makes the catch for the second out of the inning. So there's another major league first for Spencer Jones since getting called up starting yesterday. That is his first put out as an outfielder in Major League Baseball as a Yankee and in center field. Now here's the 7-hitter, Garrett Mitchell, 33 games, 214, 1 home run, 21 RBIs. He is a left-handed hitter against the righty Cam Schlittler. There are 2 outs here in the bottom of the second, 1-0 Bombers. Coming from the full wind is Schlittler. Here's the first pitch. Outside. Did not get the plate on that four-seam fastball at 99 miles per hour. Count is 1-0. Mitchell wearing the number 5 for Milwaukee this year. Coming set from the gentle wind is Schlittler. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Up and away, four-seam fastball, 98 miles per hour, almost exactly where he located the previous pitch, and it was the exact same type of pitch, so bear that in mind. Something that's interesting about Schlittler's windup is that it's so gentle and it's so still. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Strike, cutter, outside corner, down and away to the lefty Mitchell. The count is 2-1. Yeah, he has not come in on the lefty yet majorly with that cutter. That may be something he is trying to hold back for the second time through the lineup. Now, here's the 2-1 pitch. Foul down the third base side and out of play. And the count is 2-2 to Frelick. So Schlittler is 1 strike away. Oh, God, they're showing that injury to Lockhart from last night. Oh, boy. It's just, ugh. Lockridge. I always call him Lockhart. Lockridge. He's going to be on the shelf for a while. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Foul down the third base side and out of play. No, he lacerated his the skin and a lot of the muscle in near his right knee. He can't even take an MRI yet until there's a bit of the swelling goes down. So he's going to be on the shelf for quite a little while. So our thoughts and best wishes with him. Now, here's the 2-2 pitch. Inside, down and in, a cutter, 94 miles per hour. This is the first cutter so far that he has thrown to a batter so far right now. Yes, indeed. So let's see what they got there, folks. Right. Now, Schlittler is back on the mound, and it's a full count here. He winds, and the 3-2 pitch to Mitchell. Strike 3, down goes swinging did Mitchell, and that'll do it. The Brewers go down in order in the bottom of the second inning. We go to the top of the third inning. I'm Paul D. It's Saturday night. This is Yankee baseball from the upper Midwest. And this is Bombers Game Mike. Yeah, definitely. So, Cam Schlittler is doing Cam Schlittler things, folks. He's doing Cam Schlittler things. 1-0 Bombers right now. And that's always fun to watch, especially after last night. Oh, my goodness. Last night was an ordeal. But that's 24 hours ago. And in Yankee land, it might as well be ancient history. They have much to look forward to this season, so long as they can stay healthy and continue playing well. And like I said, we get Rodon for his first start back tomorrow, and hopefully that goes well. He is, he could be the ace on a lot of teams. He's considered one of the ace horses on this team. He may not be number one, but boy, he is tough, and his stuff can be so nasty. And then at some point in June, and I doubt it'll be any sooner than that, because in the case of Garrett Cole, he has been very insistent that he's going to follow the medical science on this. He is not going to try and come back any sooner from his Tommy John than is absolutely the proper time to do. I respect that. It usually takes between 12 and 16 months. In his case, if he comes back in July, that'll be about 14. So far, he's looked pretty good, getting himself in game shape. He even threw an inning in spring training against the Red Sox, late in spring training when they showed up at George M. Steinbrenner Field down in Tampa. All right, we're going to the top of the third inning at Miller Park. It is 1-0 Bombers here in this fine facility in the upper Midwest. Here's the first pitch to Goldie. Strike, inside corner. Breaking ball at the knees to the righty. Paul Goldschmidt, 1-for-1 with the solo home run. He's the reason it's 1-0 Yankees. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Chopped down the first base side there, played by the first baseman. He takes it to the bag himself, and that'll be the first out of the inning. So, 2 pitches and an out there for Harrison. And Goldie just kind of dabbles out there, but he's, it's not like he hasn't contributed so far tonight. Now, here's Benjamin Rice, the big left-hander, second game back. He has him at DH tonight. Now, here's the first pitch. Strike, slurve, right down Broadway. Lefty-lefty matchup. Count is 0-1. And it seems like the contusion is doing okay. Doesn't seem to be affecting his swing. Here's the pitch. Slurve down and away in the dirt and away from the big lefty, Ben Rice. And you have to imagine, Ben Rice started at first last night. He's given a bit of like a half day just being a DH. Here's the pitch. Forcing fastball up and in and swung right through at 93 miles per hour. Ben Rice swung underneath that thing. It was about chin high. And the count is 1-2. Yeah. Ben Rice is looking awfully hot at the moment. Taking off that helmet, wiping the sweat off his brow. Looking in is Harrison from the full wind. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Looking strike 3, outside corner, thigh high, 96 miles per hour for the second out of the inning. And in that case, that was a nasty 4-seam fastball in a lefty-lefty matchup that dotted the black of the outside corner opposite Rice about thigh high. You're not going to do any better than that. Now, he's moving quickly. Here's Aaron Judge for his second at-bat. Here's the pitch. Slurve, strike, right down Broadway to the captain, Aaron Judge, who's 0-for-1 with a strikeout in the first. Time is granted by the home plate umpire at the behest of Judge. It looks like Harrison is getting some confidence back here. He looks like he's moving with a bit more confidence and intentionality. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Down and away, a changeup out of the zone, 85 miles per hour. The count is 1-1. He's also speeding up his windup compared to the first 2 innings. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Chop foul down the third base side and out of play. Count is 1-2. In the first 2 innings, when he was from the windup, he was moving very carefully and gently. This inning, he has gone full herky-jerky. It's a little strange to watch mid-game. Now, here's the 1-2 pitch. Check swing. Did he go around? No, says Blue down the first baseline. He manages to hold his swing. And I'm sure he also holds his liquor very well in addition to that. Now, here's the 2-2 pitch. Out and away, four-seam fastball, 96 miles per hour. Didn't have the plate, was well too high, and the count is full, 3-2. There are two out, nobody on here in the top of the third inning. 1-0 Bombers. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Ball four on a four-seam fastball, up and away, 97 miles per hour, not nearly close to the zone. Aaron Judge goes and takes his position down at first base. Now here comes the cleanup hitter, the lefty left fielder, our boy, who's really been raking over the last couple of weeks, Cody Bellinger, who's 0 for 1 with a strikeout back in the first inning. From the stretch is Harrison. It is a lefty-lefty matchup. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike, four-seam fastball up and away, 95 miles per hour. It was up and out of the zone. However, Bellinger just decided that he wanted to pull the trigger. Count is 0-1. Harrison, once again, time is granted by the home plate umpire at the behest of Bellinger. Bellinger, no doubt, is looking to break up the rhythm here of Harrison. It's a pro move, 48 pitches so far for Harrison in 2 2/3 inning of work. Now here's the 0-1. Strike, four-seam fastball, 95 miles per hour, thigh high, dotted on the black of the outside corner. The count is 0-2. It's the same pitch that he threw to Ben Rice that got him there, except Ben Rice didn't swing on it. It is now 0-2 here with Aaron Judge on first base in the top of the third inning and two out. Now here's the 0-2 pitch. Foul back behind the plate, out of play, and the count is still 0-2. So for the most part, righties generally don't hit him as well as lefties do. You don't really run into that too often these days. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Hit on out there to medium left center field. Calling for it is the center fielder. He's underneath it. He makes the catch for the third out of the inning. So the Yankees go pretty quietly with the exception of the two-out walk to Aaron Judge. It looks like Harrison is beginning to settle in here. 1-1-0 for the Bombers. 0-1-0 for the Brewers. We're going to the bottom of the third inning out in Miller Park in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's Saturday night. This is Yankee baseball. And I'm Paul D., in case you didn't know. And you are watching, listening, and hopefully enjoying Bombers Game Mic. So, looks like we might got ourselves a little pitching duel. Maybe got ourselves a little pitching duel. I can't be sure, but it's kind of working out that way. Hold on a second, I gotta take off this Yankee pullover. Holy crap. You know, it's interesting. John Sterling, through almost his entire career, spans something like over 50 years or something like that, John Sterling almost called every single game, certainly Yankee game, in a shirt and tie, and very likely a coat. And you can think of some of the places he had been doing so. And for many years doing baseball in the middle of summer where there were probably a few facilities where the press box wasn't air conditioned. And I got to tell you, if you do this with any sort of energy and enthusiasm, you're going to get hot doing it. That's a growing pro tip here. And apparently Luis Heel was placed on the 7-day IL down in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre with shoulder inflammation, and he'll be shut down for the next 3 weeks. Sorry to hear that. The old AL Rookie of the Year back in 2024. He really has not been the same since, I think it's fair to say. Now, here's the first pitch to Rengifo from Schlittler. Just missed on the outside corner to the lefty Rengifo. And the count is 1-0. He's the 8 hitter tonight. He's hitting 184 on the 2026 campaign. Coming from the full wind is Schlittler, the 1-0 pitch. Strike cutter right down Broadway at 94 miles per hour. That was middle. 31 games for Rengifo at third base now. No home runs, 11 RBIs, 523 OPS. It's a 1-1 count. Schlittler from the very gentle wind. Here's the pitch. Hit there down to shortstop is Caballero. He throws to first, and he gets Rengifo by a step for the first out in the bottom of the third inning. So that was a very, very slowly transpiring ground ball off the bat of Rengifo, but Caballero was up for it. Now, here's the shortstop, David Hamilton. He's batting the 9-hole tonight in 30 games, 236, no home runs, 7 RBIs. And they are slightly shaded to the right field side. Caballero is just to the left field side of the bag at second with only Rosario playing basically even between second and third. Here's the first pitch. Ball up and away, a cutter. Count is 1-0 to Hamilton. He's bunted 7 times this season, according to Yes. That's mostly useful information, I think. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Fouled straight back and out of play. And the count is 1-1. And there is a big Johnsonville bratwurst hot dog ad that is sitting in the LED advertising space right behind home plate. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a little hungry. A ballpark Johnsonville hot dog doesn't sound too damn bad at the moment. Now, here's the 1-1 pitch. Swinging strike, four-seam fastball, 99 miles per hour. Outside corner just below the belt, swung right on through that one, did Hamilton, and the count is 1-2 to the Brewers shortstop tonight. He's looking in for the sign. Nobody on, 1 out. It is 1-0. Bombers in the bottom of the third inning. From the gentle wind is Schlittler, the 1-2 pitch. Hit on out there to left center field. Calling for is Bellinger. He's underneath it. He makes the catch. And that is the second out in the bottom of the third inning. So Schlittler gets the first 2 batters here pretty quickly. Now we go back to the top of the Milwaukee order. Chourio, Jackson Chourio, he's 0 for 1 with a strikeout in the first. Yeah, right-handed left fielder. He looks in for the sign. Now, here's the first pitch. Foul down the first base side and out of play. The count is 0-1 to Chourio. Cam Schlittler, 37 pitches so far tonight in 2 2/3 inning of work. He's been pretty good despite getting that liner off the back of his his left calf, I should say. He looks in for the sign from Austin Wells. He comes to the gentle wind. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Slider down and away out of the zone, just over the lefty's batter's box. 90 miles per hour. Counts 1-1. Chourio, very capable leadoff hitter. A pretty decent outfielder as well. Now, here's the 1-1 pitch. Inside a sinker, 98 miles per hour. Having to jump out of the way of that one was Jackson Chourio. It wasn't particularly close, but he definitely did need to shuffle his feet. 2-1 here to the Brewer lead-off hitter in the bottom of the third inning. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Foul back and behind the plate, out of play. It was a four-seam fastball down and over at 99 miles per hour. So if he hadn't swung, I don't think it would have been called a strike despite how much of the plate it got and how close it was to just being at the knees. It would have been challengeable to say the least. It's a 2-2 count here to Chourio. 1-0 Bombers, 40 pitches so far for Schlittler. Chourio, the righty, he gets back into the box. And Schlittler is back on the bump. He sits to the extreme first base side of the rubber. Now here's a 2-2 pitch. Chop foul, and it hits him. So it's a foul ball there. We get to do 2-2 all over again. No, Cam Schlittler, he's on the extreme first base side of the rubber. He's angled with his right foot and his body going about, I would say, 35 degrees off a home plate. And you only basically see him at an angle. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Foul back and out of play. A cutter out over the plate and away. About belt high. Count remains 2-2. So he's about 35 degrees off the angle of the plate from the extreme first base side of the rubber. And when he winds, it's a very gentle motion. He doesn't move that much. And he moves very easily, very fluidly. I mean, it has to be feeling like you're catching a bat out of hell when the ball eventually comes out of his hand in triple digits. Now, here's the 2-2 pitch to Chourio. Foul back behind the plate. Four-seam fastball, outside corner, above the knees, 99 miles per hour. We do it all again. Do it all again. Probably the toughest at-bat so far for Schlittler tonight. Probably the toughest at-bat so far. He has the sign. He's from the full wind. Now, here's a 2-2. Foul back. Out of play. It was a four-seam fastball up and down Broadway, 99 miles per hour. There's been a long at-bat. I think this at-bat's almost been 7 or 8 pitches at this point. And that's how you ultimately have to get to some of these guys. You might not put great contact at them, but you got to make them throw a lot. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Down and away, a slider out of the zone, lands basically in the lefty's batter's box. To the righty Chourio. The count is 3-2. So, nobody on, nobody out. Bottom of the third inning, 1-0 Bombers. There's 2 outs here and a full count to Jackson Chourio. Here's the pitch. Chopped on up to Cam Schlittler. It gets past him. He throws to first as Chisholm, and Chourio will make it to the bag. And it looked like Cam Schlittler fell down on that play when the thing got chopped right back to him. He doesn't seem any worse for the wear, just kind of embarrassed. It was kind of a goofy play, unfortunately. And after that very long at-bat, no doubt Chourio is extremely pleased with himself. And my apologies for the lack of update there on the score bug. Sometimes you focus more on calling the actual game than you do pushing buttons. What can I tell you? Yeah, it just wasn't happening. It was basically a chopper up the middle very lightly. It just hit the right spot where Schlittler couldn't really field it. And by the time Jazz was there, Chourio was already on first. Now, here's Turang. Here's the pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball, inside corner to the lefty Turang at the knees on the black. The count is 0-1. There is a runner on first and 2 out here in the bottom of the third inning. From the stretch is Schlittler. He comes set above the belt. Here's the 0-1. Four-seam fastball up and away, 97 mile per hour to the lefty hitting Turang. Count is now 1-1. Apparently, according to Yes. Here's the pitch. Foul down the first base side, out of play. Yeah, there was no way Jazz could make that play the way it transpired. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Runner on first, 2 out here. 1-0 Bombers in the bottom of the third inning. The lefty Turang is at the plate. Schlittler deals. Up and in, four-seam fastball, 95 miles per hour. Had to get out of the way of that. Little bit of chin music there. That's not exactly the birthday card I want from Cam Schlittler. The count is 2-2. All right. So, runner on first, 2 out here. It is 2-2, 50 pitches so far for Cam Schlittler. He comes set at the belt. The pitch. Hit to the right side. Right there is Chisholm, who catches it on the line for the third and final out of the inning. So, they managed to get a runner on with 2 outs, but have nothing to show for it. 1-1-1 Yankees, 0-1-0 Milwaukee. We're going to the top of the 4th inning. It's Saturday night. It's Yankee baseball. It's happening in southern Wisconsin. I'm Paul D. This is Bombers Game Mic. Yeah. So, Cam has been good. He has been good. Not great. Good. Not quite great. It happens. 1-0 Bombers. Oh, what a night. What a way to spend a Saturday night. And thank you for sharing part of your Saturday night with me, Paul D., as we await the top of the fourth inning. Okay. Okay. All right. We are back for the top of the fourth inning. It is 1-0 Bombers in Milwaukee. The only offense coming off the leadoff home run from Paul Goldschmidt off the lefty Kyle Harrison. And here's the first pitch. Strike, slurve, outside corner above the knees. Count is 0-1 to Ahmed Rosario, who walked in the first. Here's the pitch. Ball down and way out of the zone, also a slurve. I should say walked in his first at bat. The walk occurred in the second. 262, 4 home runs, 14 RBIs. Cheers to that. Here's the 1-1 pitch from Harrison. Hit on out to left field. Going back is Chorizo in front of the track, and it's over his head. And he plays the carom off the wall. Turning around set first is Rosario, and he slides into second safely with a leadoff double. Oh, boy. Yeah, he hit that thing. Chorizo was going back, and it was just clear over his head. He had to play the carom off the wall there. It landed basically on the warning track. Didn't go over the wall. And the play, by the time the throw got down there to second, Rosario had already slid in safely with a lead-off double, leading off top of the fourth inning. So a quick strike of lightning right there. Here's Jazz Chisholm in his second at-bat of the day. He walked back in the second. Here's the pitch. He shows bunt, and it rolls down the first baseline. He's charging up the first base, and he is there without a play and out of throw. Oh, Jazz Chisholm just throws down the absolute surprise bunt that rolls perfectly up the first baseline so nobody can get it. And the Yankees now have runners on first and third and nobody out in the top of the fourth inning. It was a perfect bunt. He placed it perfectly. The first baseman had to come in on it because Harrison was caught off balance even trying to get there, and it was too far anyway. Second baseman couldn't get there in time. Jazz manages to get to first unencumbered, first and third. Nobody out in the top of the fourth inning. And here's the Yankee shortstop, Jose Caballero, who struck out back in the second. The infield is at double play depth. Jazz is obviously being held on at first base for good reason because he'll definitely take off on you. Here's the pitch. Four-seam fastball up and away to the righty hitting shortstop. A fastball 94 miles per hour. Didn't catch the plate, didn't have the height. Count is 1-0 to Caballero. So the Yankees got a little something going here. Let's see if they can make something happen with it. Now, here's a 1-0 pitch. Change up down and in. Just missed the edge of the plate there on the inside corner. It definitely had the height. It was knee high to Caballero, but definitely called a ball, and nobody is challenging it. 57 pitches so far for Harrison. It's a 2-0 count to Caballero. From the stretch is Harrison. Here's a 2-0 pitch. Swinging strike, four-seam fastball up and in, 95 miles per hour to Caballero. It may very well have been called a strike had he not swung, but it would have been close. It was nothing that was a certainty right off the human call. It's a 2-1 count. Runners on first and third. Nobody out in the top of the fourth inning. 1-0 Bombers. Harrison deals. Popped right on up behind the plate and out of play. And the count evens at 2-2. So at the moment, the Yankees do very much need a little bit of lightning here. They could go for it big time. They want to be able to get some runs up on the board. Here's a 2-2 from Harrison. Fouled straight on back. And we'll do it all over again. That was a four-seam fastball at 95 miles per hour. About belt high on the outer third of the plate to the righty hitting Jose Caballero. 60 pitches so far in 3+ innings of work for Harrison. He is from the stretch. The pitch. Check swing. Did he go around on the changeup in the dirt? No, says Blue down the first base side. And the count is now full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. And it was definitely one that Caballero was tempted on. Changeup down and away. It was not a strike, and he held his swing. Runners lead off first and third. Nobody out. Time is called by the home plate umpire at the behest of Jose Caballero. Probably not a bad idea. He gets right back into the box. He has himself a bit sit back in the box. A slightly open stance does Caballero have. Clearly likes the ball in and away. Rather, I should say, he clearly likes the ball away. Hence, he opens up his stance so that the ball on the inside corner or even just middle is away. Unlike a guy like Stanton, who has a very closed batting stance. Coming set is Harrison. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Foul back behind the plate, out of play. Four-seam fastball, outer third of the plate, belt high. Hit it right back. Count remains 3-2. Yes. I tell you, though, I still am having a lot of trouble just getting used to the presence of all of these gambling options that are available and being shown in and around Major League ball games. You know, for over a century, that was something that was almost unthinkable. What is happening here? They've got a pitch clock violation there on the part of Harrison. So Caballero will take his base, and that will load the bases in the top of the 4th inning with still nobody out. And here comes Spencer Jones. And naturally, the Brewers manager is just pissed here to some extent about that, but it was a pitch clock violation. You know, he was dragging ass, and he got penalized for it. It's the nature of the game nowadays, folks. There are quite a few pitchers that had a lot of trouble adapting to that in a lot of different ways. But now it's kind of part of the game. So the center fielder, the rookie Spencer Jones, drafted 25 overall in the first round back in 2022 out of Vanderbilt. He's an enormous left-hander. They currently have him wearing the number 78. And he digs into the box. He does this weird crouch down thing with his stance, which is also another very open stance by comparison. And if he had just at full height for that, I mean, he looks like a giant. Here's the first pitch. Slurve right down Broadway from Harrison, and the count is 0-1. Bases loaded, nobody out, top of the 4th inning. Spencer Jones is at the plate. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Strike, 4-seam fastball, outside corner above the knees. Absolutely dotted that one at 95 miles per hour, and the count is now 0-2 to Spencer Jones. Harrison has him right where he wants him. Here's the pitch. Foul down the third base side and out of play on a 4-seam fastball on the outer third, 96 miles per hour. So Spencer Jones right here, despite the fact the bases are loaded with nobody out, he's in defensive mode at the moment. He has to protect. He has to find a way to get himself back into this at-bat. Here's the pitch. Slurve down and away, out of the zone. And the count is 1-2. So, yeah, and especially lefty-lefty. There's no other way to put that. He has to find a way back into this at-bat. This pitch is going to determine a lot of that here. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Strike 3, swung right over, slurve down and away and in the dirt. And that is the first out of the inning. So a strikeout with the bases loaded by Spencer Jones. And that's the first out of the inning. So I can't say that I'm not disappointed. I was really rooting for him. I was hoping we'd see something. But not yet. We have to wait a little bit longer. Now, here is the 9-hitter Wells. Once again, a lefty-lefty matchup. Here's the first pitch to Wellsy. Strike, slurve, inside corner, right about thigh high to the lefty hitting Austin Wells, who's 0 for 1 with a strikeout back in the second. He has the bases loaded. Here's the pitch. Strike, slurve down and away. It dotted the outside corner at the knees, and he also swung right on over it. So one way or another, that would have been a strike. It's 0-2 to the Yankee catcher. Right now, the Yankees they've been given the gift of bases loaded and nobody out. Spencer Jones comes up, strikes out pretty damn quickly. And at the moment, Wells ain't that far behind him. Looking in for the sign is Harrison from the full wind with the bases loaded. Here's the pitch. Four-seam fastball up and away and over the righty batter's box, 95 miles per hour with the four-seam fastball. 70 pitches so far for Harrison. He's with the full wind with the bases loaded. Here's a 1-2 pitch. Up and away, four-seam fastball, 96 miles per hour. Almost exactly where the 0-2 pitch was. He's back on the bump. He's moving as quickly as he possibly can now, as you might imagine. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Popped on up underneath it, and since there is less than 2 outs here on the bases loaded, the infield fly rule is in effect, which means Austin Wells is out. That is 2 outs here in the top of the 4th inning. Second time in 3 games that I've run into the infield fly rule. And for a lot of baseball fans, not like the diehards, but a lot of people watching if they're just watching casually, they find that to generally be pretty obscure. Now, here's the first pitch. Hit to the left side and past the third baseman. He throws over to first, trying to get Goldschmidt. No play. And the Yankees will now take a 2-0 lead. So the first pitch right there to Goldschmidt there at the top of the lineup. He's responsible for all the Yankee offense tonight. He hits it on a hit on the ground, a sharp ground ball to Rengifo, who has to go to glove side towards the line. He booted it, popped right up, and of course, Rosario scored easily on the play. Here's the first pitch to Ben Rice. Strike, four-seam fastball, outside corner above the knees. The count is 0-1. So that is exactly what the Yankees want right there. Here's the pitch. Slurve down and away, just missed the plate. Didn't have the height. Count is 1-1. So the bases are still loaded with 2 out. Here's the 1-1 pitch to Rice. Slurve right down Broadway at the knees. The count is 1-2. So Paul Goldschmidt is responsible for both Yankee runs here tonight. Not bad for a backup player. Here's a 1-2 pitch. Hit right on up the middle, and right there is the shortstop who picks it up on the line for the 3rd out of the inning. But on the back of Paul Goldschmidt and, the pretty janky fielding at third base by Rengifo, the Yankees now have a 2-0 lead. We head to the bottom of the 4th inning. It is 2-0 Bombers. This is Saturday Night Yankee Baseball. I'm Paul D. This is Bombers Game Mike. Well, Cam Schlittler got himself a bit of a rest in that half inning. And, amazingly on that one, the Yankees did not blow the opportunity to get another run there. I mean, it should have been more than that. I think we all know it should have been more than that. But there's only so much you're going to do. So shout out to my boy, Paulie Goldschmidt. And cheers to the shot box defense of Rengifo. Sometimes you just got to be happy with what they seem to be giving you. Sometimes they will open the door for you. Very polite. Very accommodating to their guests this Saturday night at Miller Park. And Cam Schlittler is going to be coming on out for his 4th frame of work. So far tonight, Cam, 3 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. pretty darn impressive indeed. Of his 51 pitches, 36 have been strikes. Now, here's the first pitch. Right down Broadway, strike. Sinker, 97 miles per hour to William Contreras, who's 1 for 1 on the night. On that weird back up the middle liner that hit Schlittler's calf. The right-hand hitter is indeed their catcher, and the count is 0-1. Schlittler is back up on the bump. He winds, and here's the 0-1 pitch. Down and away, a slider, 87 miles per hour that seems to cross over the lefty's batter's box. Count is 1-1. Schlittler is looking in very comfortably, moving very smoothly. Here's the pitch. Check swing. Did he go around? It hit the bat there on the check swing very lightly on the bat of Contreras, and the count is 1-2. Yep. Absolutely. That's what's being indicated. Now, here's the 1-2 pitch to Contreras. Hit on up the middle. Fielded there easily by Jazz Chisholm. Throws to first, and that's the first out of the bottom of the fourth. A bit anticlimactic. A number of ground balls right up the middle tonight with Cam Schlittler. I think that was his third so far in 3 1/3 innings of work. It's currently 2-0 Bombers. 55 pitches so far for Schlittler. Now here comes the 4-hitter Jake Bauers. He's 0 for 1 tonight. Now Schlittler deals. Ho, up and away, a cutter, well and away to the lefty Bauers. The count is 1-0. 0 for 1 with a strikeout back in the first. From the full wind, the pitch. Swinging strike, swung right through a cutter, up in the zone, yet over the plate. Count is 1-1 to the lefty Bauers. He had 5 home runs so far this year. How about that? Now, Schlittler comes to motion. He deals out and away. 4-seam fastball, 98 miles per hour over the righty's batter's box. The count is 2-1. A little quiet down there in Miller Park at the moment. A little quiet. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Foul down the third base side, out of play. On a 4-seam fastball, 97 miles per hour. Outer third of the plate to the lefty Bauers, about belt high. And the count is 2-2. So nobody on, 1 out. Bottom of the fourth inning. It's 2-0 Bombers. Cam Schlittler's on the mound. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Swinging strike 3. Down goes Bauers for the second out of the inning. He swung on a mid-90s cutter on the outer half of the plate that was just below the belt. It very likely would have been called a strike anyway. However, that is the second out of the inning. And now here's Tyler Black, the DH. He's hitting the 5 spot tonight, 0 for 1 with strikeout in the second. He is a lefty hitter against the righty Schlittler. The pitch. Strike cutter, 93 miles per hour, dotted on the outside corner thigh high. In fact, that's almost just about the pitch that he threw previously that struck out Bauers. The count is 0-1. Schlittler is moving quickly. Here's the 0-1. Foul down the third base side, out of play. 4-seam fastball, 98 miles per hour, belt high. Count is 0-2. 62 pitches here so far for our boy. He is moving yet quickly yet. Now, here's the 0-2 pitch. Check swing foul back to the third base, the dugout on the third base side here at Miller Park. Counts 0-2. He's doing Cam Schlittler things at the moment, really. He just attack, be very, very consistent. Wham, boom. You're looking really good. Looking really good. Black is back into the box. He's in the hole, 0-2 to Schlittler. Setting up inside is Wells. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Check swing. Did he go around? Yes, says the home plate umpire. For the final out of the fourth inning, Cam Schlittler, very sharp, 2-4-1 Bombers, 0-1-0 Milwaukee after 4 full. We're going to the top of the fifth inning out in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on this Saturday night edition of Yankee Baseball. I'm Paul D. This is Bombers Game Mike. Wow. That was impressive. I mean, he really just cut right through the middle of the order there. That's not the easiest thing to do. This is a very capable Brewers team. I think they're 4 games over 500 at this point. That doesn't make them in any way the class yet of the National League Central. That goes to both the Cubs, who have just been playing out of this world. And to their credit, the St. Louis Cardinals, the very young, the very under a lot of controllable years, the very dirt cheap at the moment. I'm getting on you, DeWitt. I'm getting on you, St. Louis Cardinals. So I'm on the road right now. That's why I'm not on camera if you've joined me here before. And I moved with my wife to St. Louis, Missouri. We don't live in the city itself. We live just on the very outskirt, on the other side of the border of St. Louis County. So I'm surrounded by Cardinal fans that are generations of Cardinal fans. And over the last 20 years, I have most definitely developed a very strong affection for that franchise and especially its fans. So the fact that they are managing to pull this off right now, I mean, is kind of incredible because St. Louis, I'm not going to get too far into this one here. Maybe we can discuss it another time. But right now, the city of St. Louis needs the Cardinals to be good in the worst way. It's not merely a morale thing. It's very much an economics thing. They got to try to get people downtown again. So we're heading to the top of the fifth inning, 2-0 Yankees. Here's Aaron Judge leading off the pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball dotted on the outside corner just above the knees. 95 miles per hour. And the righty Patrick is in now in relief of Kyle Harrison. He's a right-handed pitcher, so it's a righty-righty matchup. Here's the first pitch to Judge. Down and away, a sinker, 96 miles per hour. Didn't catch the plate and was too low. The count is 1-1. Chad Patrick, 7 games, a 3.45 ERA, 31 and 30 in the third innings pitch, 16 walks, 20 strikeouts. It's a 1-1 count to the captain, Aaron Judge. Here's the pitch. Sinker just missed down and away, 96 miles per hour. Didn't have the plate, but it did have the height. The count is 2-1. And, of course, Aaron Judge, he's 0 for 1, and he walked back in the third. That's his story tonight. Patrick comes set at the stretch as a proper reliever would. Here's the 2-1. Check swing, hits right on off the bat. It was a sinker on the inside corner about belt high to, the 6'7" Aaron Judge. And the count is 2-2. It's 6'7" or 6'8", something like that. I mean, I love Aaron Judge. But he's built like Herman Munster from below the neck. If you've ever watched the Munsters in that game where Herman ends up trying out for the Dodgers, it's a little uncanny, actually. Just like seeing balls explode 500 feet away. Here's the pitch. Swing, looking strike 3 is a cutter right down Broadway, middle. I have no idea what Judge thought was going to happen there. It's like he got caught with his britches down on that one. Unfortunately for him and the Yankees, it's the first out in the top of the fifth inning. Weird thing to go looking on right now for Aaron Judge. It was middle. I don't know what he thought he saw. Now here's the lefty hitting a left fielder, Cody Bellinger. Here's the pitch. Up and away, four-seam fastball, 96 miles per hour, nowhere near the zone. Count is 1-0. And Belly, he's 0 for 2 tonight. 2-0 Bombers here in the top of the fifth inning. Nobody on, 1 out. Coming set is the righty Patrick in relief of Harrison. Here's the pitch. Down and in, a cutter, 91 miles per hour. It definitely had the plate, but was too low. Count is 2-0 to Belly. He's looking in. He comes set above the belt as the right-handers often do. Here's a 2-0 pitch. Down and in a cutter, 91 miles per hour, nowhere near the zone. Bellinger had to slightly get out of the way of that thing. It counts 3-0. Now, at this point in the at-bat, you have to imagine that Bellinger's going into statue mode. He's not going to willingly let Patrick back in to this at-bat unless it's amazing. Strike right down Broadway, 96 mile per hour four-seam fastball. That's precisely what he did. He went right into statue mode. Now, this is definitely the hitter's count 3-1. The question is, will he get what he wants? And if he does, can he connect? Chopped down the first base side out of play on a cutter in on the hands, 90 miles per hour, according to Yankees Entertainment and Sports Network. Celebrating their 25th season, by the way. I wasn't able to get them until their second season because I grew up with Cablevision. Now, here's the 3-2 pitch. Chopped down the first base side, plays there by the first baseman. He boots it, and Bellinger is safe at first base with no throw. So I imagine they will probably rule that an error, but who gives a shit? Runner on first, one out there. It just did not work out there. He could not bring it in. Couldn't bring it in, could the first baseman. So a runner on first, one out. I think it's a play he probably should have made. Now, here's Ahmed Rosario. He's 1-for-1 with a run scored. He scored on that low liner that was booted by Rengifo off the bat of Paulie Goldschmidt. Runner on first, one out. Here's the pitch. Strike, cutter, down and away at the knees over the outer third of the plate to the righty batting Rosario. The count is 0-1. Rosario is starting at third base tonight. Ryan McMahon getting the night off as it was originally a lefty-lefty matchup against Harrison. Here's the pitch. Throwing down to second. Coming down is Bellinger, and he is safe. He beats the throw of the bag, and it was a bad throw. The pitch was, in fact, called a strike by the home plate umpire, but now Bellinger has managed to swipe second. But it was a weird play because it was a high, really high throw, and he was trying, in terms of the tag, Bellinger was already there by the time he was bringing down the hands. Let's see it again. Oh, goodness, he might be out. I think they challenge as Bellinger might be out at second, but we're going to find out real quick what they choose to do about that because they're getting it from all angles now. God, that's so hard to tell. The angle coming in from the camera in center field is inconclusive. It's under review. It is under review. I think he might get called out here because from the angle from the third base camera, we're going to find out. I think they're showing the replay in the stadium, and Contreras, they're looking up at it out over center field. He seems pretty convinced. So hard to say. It's very hard to get a really good angle on this one. So, I don't know. Did he actually even tag him at that point? It's hard to know. We're waiting for the review from the third-party site in New York City. It's an 0-2 count. Bellinger was originally ruled safe. He's standing down there at second as they wait. And they have called him out. That is the second out of the inning. So caught stealing is Bellinger on the throw, originally ruled safe. On further review, he is ruled out. That is the second out of the inning in the top of the fifth. So, Rosario is down on the count 0-2. Nobody on, 2 out, 2-0 Bombers. Here's the pitch. Strike three, looking cutter down away at the knees, and that'll do it. So after some unfortunate base running luck and some rather quality pitching on the part of Patrick there in relief of Harrison, the Yankees actually end up going down in order. We're going to the bottom of the fifth inning. 2-0 Bombers here on Saturday Night Yankee Baseball from the upper Midwest on the shores of the Great Lake, Michigan. And if you haven't seen it at this time of year, you're definitely missing out. I'm Paul D. This is Bombers Game Mic. This is Bombers Game Mic. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's so hard sometimes with those calls sliding when it comes to second base, because there are some times when it's hard to get a definitive angle by which to review. I think it's fair to say. But there's no question about it, especially when you get that camera angle that comes in over the third baseline from the second deck there where they have it stationed and it's all zoomed in. When you do that, that's the angle that ultimately, that was the one that ultimately got him the chair, to use a term. So he was out. The Yankees are still up 2-0. I mean, there's no question, undoubtedly, that Schlittler is pitching very well, and a couple of runs is something he is happy to work with. He'd be happy with simply one. And so there are some days where he is so good that is all he needs. Now we are going to the bottom of the fifth inning. Cam Schlittler coming out for his fifth frame of work, and he's been pretty economical so far on the pitching end of things in terms of the number of pitches he's had. Quite impressive overall. Now, here's the first pitch. Strike cutter outside corner above the knees to the lefty Frelick, and the count is 0-1 to the lefty for Milwaukee. Coming wind. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Up and away. Cutter, 94 miles per hour, nowhere near the zone to the lefty Frelick, who himself is in right field tonight. His first name is Sal. You don't see that often anymore. He's 0-1 with a line out in the second. Schlittler is moving quick. Now, here's the 1-1 pitch. Foul back, straight back on a cutter, up and in. The count is 1-2. That was the 67th pitch so far tonight for Cam Schlittler in 5+ innings of work so far. He's making them count. Here's the 1-2. Up and away, cutter, 94 miles per hour. It was about chin high and off the plate. 2-2. 48 strikes, 20 balls. Here's the 2-2. Up and away, four-seam fastball, 97 miles per hour. About letter high, though, over the plate. And the count is full 3-2. Full 3-2. But he's moving quick. He likes to get things done quickly. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Popped on up behind the plate and out of play. Did Frelick. That was a cutter in on his hands there. That didn't look particularly fun. Imagine how all those hitters felt all those years that Mariano just kept doing it to him, and very seldom did they ever prove that they could do anything about it. That just makes me beam with pride and nostalgia. Here's the 3-2. Hit down the right field side and just foul. It just hooked foul down the first base side into the left field corner. Frelick wishes he could have that one back. Schlittler is quietly saying his prayers and thanking him, because had that thing gotten down, it would have been a stand-up double for Frelick, and nobody wants to give up a leadoff double in any inning under any situation. Well, maybe not under any situation, but the vast majority of them where they're actually playing competitively. Now, here's the 3-2 from Schlittler. Fouled down the third base side and out of play. That was a four-seam fastball. That was about letter high, just off the plate to the lefty Frelick. Long pitch sequence. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Popped on up down the left field side. Calling for is Rosario. He's underneath it. He makes the catch in shallow left field. And Frelick flies out for the first out of the bottom of the fifth. And now the lefty Mitchell, Garrett Mitchell, who's playing center field, 0-1 with a strikeout back in the second. He was one of the defensive replacements when Lockridge needed to be carted off the field last night after he crashed into the low wall and the concrete part of it had its base. Here's the first pitch to Mitchell. Ball, four-seam fastball just out away from the plate to the lefty Mitchell. Had the height, did not have the plate. The count is 1-0. Setting up inside as Wells. Full wind from Schlittler, the 1-0 pitch. Fouled straight back. Four-seam fastball about just below the belt on the outer third. And the count is 1-1. 75 pitches so far for Cam Schlittler in 4 1/3 inning of work. There's nobody on. There is one out. It's a 1-1 count, 2-0 Bombers. From the full wind, the 1-1 pitch. Foul down the third base side and out of play. And the count is now 1-2 to Mitchell. So, as a lefty, no doubt, one of the possibilities is Cam Schlittler coming up and in with one of his cutters. He could try going away and deking him out, but he's setting up inside as well. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Just missed upstairs. It was a cutter at 95 miles per hour. Had the plate, was a bit too high. Blue behind the plate was not impressed. Looking in for the sign is Schlittler. He winds the 2-2 pitch. Hit down the left field side, and Bellinger plays it on the hop. So a 1-out single for Mitchell with here in the bottom of the fifth inning. Yeah, so it did not hit where Austin Wells had set up his glove inside. It came out to the outer third of the plate about thigh high. He just dropped the bat on that thing. And then Bellinger out and left played it on a single hop. So runner on first, 1 out after that single. Now here's Luis Rengifo, the third baseman, batting 8th tonight. He's 0 for 1. Here's the first pitch. Down and in a cutter. Did he go around? No, says Blue down the third base line. Count is 1-0. Schlittler is now working from the stretch. He looks down at first just to keep an eye on him. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Grounded to the third base side. Right there is Rosario. He throws to one short. Did he get him? Yes, he did. Caballero was able to bring in the throw, get his foot down to the bag, despite the fact that the throw was well offline to the runner there, and he gets the force at second. So, the hitter will reach on a fielder's choice, yet he's still standing down there at second as if to expect something. I don't know what it could possibly be. I believe he beat him. The second base umpire did have a good angle on it. Oh, yeah, he beat him. He beat him. I think he did. I mean, the second base umpire was right there. Yes. Well, that's a bad angle when you look at it from over the first base camera well. But at present, that means there are 2 on and a runner on first. The batter reaches there, and the Brewers manager right now, he's on out. He is arguing for his life at the moment, to say the least. He is not at all pleased with what he is seeing. And you know what? I don't necessarily blame him for that. He is trying to give it everything he's got. Everything he's got in order to make his case. Yeah. Now, as pissed as he was, Pat Murphy, of course, being the manager for the Brewers, he did not get the old heave-ho on that. But he was right out there, right on top of it to make his case. There just wasn't anything to say because it really does appear as if not only did Caballero get in the offline throw, but he managed to get the foot to the bag before the sliding runner. Runner on first, 2 out. And the 9-hitter Hamilton, a lefty, throws over to first as Schlittler. Back to the bag is the runner, Rengifo. And we'll do this first pitch again to the 9-hitter Hamilton, the left-hander. From the stretch is Schlittler. Here's the pitch. He shows bunt. He pops it up and foul right there, just behind the Yankee on-deck circle. Count is 0-1 to David Hamilton, the shortstop. 0 for 1 with a fly out in the third. .233, no home runs, 7 RBIs on this campaign. 81 pitches so far for Schlittler. Ahmed Rosario is playing way in at third just in case he tries to pull that again. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Grounded to the second base side. Jazz has it, throws to first in time for the third out of the bottom of the fifth. So a little bit of angry fireworks there, some close plays. No reviews, though. It's 2-0 Yankees over the Brewers after 5 full. This is Saturday night. This is Yankee Baseball. I'm Paul D. And you're watching, listening, and I think possibly enjoying Bombers Game Mic. Heading to the top of the 6th inning. So Cam Schlittler now has 5 innings pitched. A very fine thing, to say the least. He has been very solid. He has, I think, just maybe around mid-80s in terms of pitches at this point. I think that's the most likely scenario here. So, for Cam Schlittler, interestingly enough, let us see. So, Cam has actually thrown 82 pitches so far. 58 of them have been strikes. 5 innings of work, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, 6 strikeouts. That is a very, very powerful outing on the part of the young right-handed phenom for the Bombers. Yeah. So, it's a close game. There's no two ways about that part of it. And so far, everything has really held up for Cam Schlittler and the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees haven't been great offensively. Both of the runs are the responsibility of Paul Goldschmidt. The first one was on a solo leadoff home run to start the game for Goldschmidt as he's hitting leadoff. Hit it on the second pitch from Kyle Hamilton. And then, of course, I believe it was back in the third or fourth inning when they loaded the bases with nobody out. He came up with 2 outs and the bases loaded. And he had a quick ground ball to third that was booted by right. He allowed the run to score. Here's the first pitch to Jazz. Outside cutter. Just missed the plate. Count is 1-0 to Jazz Chisholm Jr. The righty Patrick is back in for his second inning of relief. Here's the pitch. Cutter down and in and well into the dirt, 91 miles per hour. The count is 2-0. 1 for 1 tonight with a walk and a single is Jazz Chisholm Jr. He has yet to really start cranking it this year in the way that we all know he's capable of doing, might I add. It's a righty-lefty matchup. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Foul back behind the plate. That was a four-seam fastball at 96 miles per hour on the outer half of the plate, about thigh high. The count's 2-1. So 17 pitches so far for Patrick. It's the top of the 6th inning. Nobody on, nobody out. 2-0 Bombers. Is a 2-1 count to the lefty Jazz Chisholm. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike, four-seam fastball, inside corner over the inside black just above the knees. 96 miles per hour on that four-seam fastball. And the count is 2-2. And you know what? Patrick coming in here in relief. Hey, he's done a good job. He's done a good job. Jazz is back into the box. Coming set at the belt is the righty Patrick. He deals foul down the third base side and out of play. Count remains 2-2. So this is a game that seems to have, in some meaningful ways, slowed down a fair amount at this point. Coming set is Patrick. The pitch. Hit on up, foul, down and over, well and away, over the top of the home dugout. Count is still 2-2. 20 pitches so far for Patrick in relief of Kyle Harrison. Now, coming set is the righty Patrick. Here's a 2-2. Just missed outside. It had the height above the knees. It did not have the black on the outside corner to the lefty Chisholm. And the count is full. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 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 3 He has his sign. He deals. Strike 3, swung right underneath the cutter, down and away. It would definitely have been called a strike, and that's the first out in the top of the 6th. Jazz has just not looked very good in about a week. Very up and down right now. Now here's the 7-hitter, Caballero, 0 for 1 at shortstop. Is the right-hander, righty-righty matchup. One out here, top of the 6th inning, nobody on. Here's the pitch. Foul back over the home on deck circle. The count is 0-1. 0 for 1 with a walk in the 4th is the Yankees shortstop tonight. Looking in is Patrick. He has his sign. He's set above the belt. Here's the 0-1. Breaking ball down and away. It was a cutter, 90 miles per hour. Missed well off the plate to the righty Caballero. Count is 1-1 with 1 out. And they got the nice shot of the closed dome from the outside. Here's the 1-1 pitch. He shows bunt. It goes down the third base line. Fielding there is Rengifo. The throw to first. In time. He just beats Caballero to the bag with the throw, and that'll be the second out of the inning. That one transpired very slowly. Rengifo for booting the ball with the bases loaded off the bat. Paulie Goldschmidt back in the 4th, responsible for the second run, really made up for a little something there because he came charging in. It was a very good bunt. He picks it up with his bare right throwing hand, and with momentum going away from first base, manages to whip it over there and beat Caballero in the process for the second out. Now, here's the first pitch to Spencer Jones. That's a ball. Breaking ball out and away to the lefty center fielder, who's in his second major league game tonight, has yet to record his first major league hit. He was up earlier with the bases loaded and nobody out. And he struck out. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Check swing on the ball inside. Did he go around? Yes, says Blue down the third base line. And the count is 1-1. So Spencer Jones has not looked entirely up with it yet. He looks like he's gotten outplayed several times between today and last night. Here's a 1-1 pitch. Swinging strike, cutter down and in. Swung right over the top of that thing. It was 90 miles per hour coming in on the left-hander Spencer Jones. He swung about 2 inches over the top of that thing. He wanted it to land in the orbit of Mars. It's a 1-2 count with 2 out, nobody on. Top of the 6th, 2-0 Bombers. Here's the pitch. Inside. Four-seam fastball off the plate, just under the knees, had neither plate nor height. The count is 2-2 to Spencer Jones. Patrick comes set at the belt. It's a righty-lefty matchup. The pitch. Swinging strike and the slurve down and in on the dirt. He will have the tag applied to him, and that'll be the third out of the inning. So, unfortunately there, Spencer Jones strikes out for the second time today. However, the Yankees are up 2-0 over Milwaukee. We're going to the bottom of the bottom of the 6th inning. I'm not trying to imply time travel. Bottom of the 6th inning, 2-0 Bombers. I'm Paul D. Saturday Night Yankee Baseball. And this is Bombers Game Mike. So, I must admit, I certainly wish that at some point here before the end of this game, that we can see a flash of what we know Spencer Jones can do here for the first time in a big league game. He hasn't gotten his first big league hit yet. He managed to draw a walk last night against Mizorowski in his second at-bat. And I saw this weirdest clip from Yes in the post-game there when they were talking to him in the post-game interview. Oh, boy. The host for the Yes post-game there, he basically, he said, and a great debut for Spencer Jones. Meredith, let's take a look what he had to say to Meredith in the postgame. And I'm thinking to myself, he went 0 for 2 for a walk. That's not a great debut. I'm sorry. That's not a great debut. It's an acceptable one. All right. Hideki Matsui was a great debut. Derek Jeter, opening day 1996. Great debut. All right. 0 for 2 with a walk is not great. It's acceptable. He wouldn't tell you it's great. He would look at you like you have 5 heads. He's not a stupid guy, man. He went to Vandy. This guy knows what he's doing. He's a smart cookie. Now, Schlittler is out for his 6th frame of work. Up for the 3rd time is the leadoff hitter Chourio. He shows bunt and pulls back, but it is a cutter strike on the outside corner to the righty Chourio, who's 0 for 2. Reached on an error in the 3rd. It's a righty-righty matchup. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Up and in, a cutter, 93 miles per hour. It actually just missed high. It definitely had the plate. Count as 1-1. The lefty Brett Hedrick is getting hot down in the Yankee pen. Schlittler winds and deals. Fly ball out to center field. Underneath it is Jones. Only has to move a few steps up to his right. And that's the first out of the inning. Now, I've seen shades of his defensive prowess in center field, spring training, footage from Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Now, here's Bryce Turang, the second baseman, 0 for 2 tonight. This is his 3rd time facing Cam Schlittler. He's out with 1 out here. I'd like to see Spencer Jones flash it in a game. Out and away, 4-seam fastball. It almost got well past Austin Wells on that one because it was just flying out and away there. Count is 1-0, 86 pitches right now for Schlittler. Undoubtedly, this will be his last inning of work in all likelihood. Here's the 1-0 to Turang. Strike, 4-seam fastball, down and away, 97 miles per hour, swung right through it, did Turang. The count is 1-1. And the most pitches that Cam has thrown so far are 22 back in the 3rd. Other than that, it's all been under 20. Here's the pitch. Foul back and out of play on a 4-seam fastball, 98 miles per hour, up and out over the plate. And the count is 1-2. Turang steps back into the box. From the full wind, Schlittler has his sign. Now here's the 1-2 pitch. Foul back behind the plate and out of play. It was a 4-seam fastball at 97 miles per hour. A little under the belt, definitely had the plate. Sent it right back. So, once again, a 1-2 count with 1 out in the bottom of the 6th inning. It's 2-0 Bombers here at Miller Park. Now, Schlittler winds the 1-2 pitch. Fly ball out there to center field. Right there is Spencer Jones, and that's his 2nd put out of the inning. So, hey, that's a thing. I guess I am getting what I was asking for, to see some flash of something. Certainly defense at the moment. Though, really, I think the thing we all want to see is the bat. I don't think that's unexpected or hard to understand in any way. Now, here comes the righty hitting catcher Contreras, who's 1 for 2 tonight. 90 pitches right now for Schlittler. Nobody on, 2 out. Bottom of the 6th, 2-0 Bombers. The easy wind, he deals. Strike, cutter, inside corner, right at the knees, just whispering over the black. The count is 0-1. The lefty Fitzpatrick and Hall are both up. A little bit of double-barrel bullpen action down there for Milwaukee. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Slider, rather sweeper down and away. Did not catch the plate, did not have the height. Count is 1-1. Contreras is 1 for 2 tonight. Aaron Boone is looking awfully pleased with himself at the moment. Now, here's the 1-1 pitch. Up and in, a cutter, 94 miles per hour, but definitely not in the zone. The count is 2-1. So that was the 93rd pitch. So this will be, in all likelihood, his last batter. Hard to imagine they'll do otherwise. Time is granted by the home plate umpire at the behest of Contreras, who takes a little walk around, digs back in. Cam Schlittler tonight is wearing the long navy blue sleeves and the high socks. Here's the pitch. Up and in, a cutter, 95 miles per hour. Not nearly tempting to Contreras. The count is 3-1. Yeah, I'll tell you, Schlittler is just this big, lanky dude. Here's a 3-1 pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball, outside corner, just above the knees, whispers over the black on the outside corner to the righty, hitting Contreras, and the count is full, 3-2. So Schlittler is one strike away from ending this inning and getting the Yankees to the top of the seventh. Here's a 3-2. Foul down the first base side and out of play. We get to do it again. Yeah. So 96 pitches now for Schlittler, getting quickly up on the bump before he gets a pitch clock violation. He has 3 seconds left. He's moving. He's good. Now, here's the 3-2 pitch. Hit to right field. Going back is Judge in front of the warning track, and he makes the catch over the shoulder for a very nifty play on the long, low liner from Contreras, and that's the third out of the inning. So a really fine piece of defense out there in right field. Largely what we've come to expect every single day for years from Aaron Judge for the third out of the inning. The Brewers go down in order, and we go to the top of the seventh inning. It's 2-0 Bombers in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And you know what? It's Saturday Night Yankee Baseball. And you know what? I'm Paul D. And you also know what? This is Bombers Game Mike. Yeah. So it looks like that will be the final out for Cam Schlittler. Let me give you his line for tonight. I think we'll all probably end up digging this. I know I will. Six innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, 6 strikeouts for Cam Schlittler. I'm not going to lie. That's a pretty damn good Cam Schlittler day. That is a pretty damn good Cam Schlittler day. And looks like we'll get Brent Hedrick in relief, leading off and going into the bottom of the seventh inning, whenever we get there. The Yankees, for the most part, have been pretty tight. They haven't been great with the bats. They had that big opportunity with the bases loaded and nobody out back in the fourth. So it's not as if they have been absolutely, it's not as if they basically have been tearing it up with the bats. Tonight or last night, the way Mizorowski was pitching, holy shit. Now, leadoff hitter is Austin Wells. Here's the pitch. Foul back on the third base side and out of play. The count is 0-1 to the lefty hitting Yankee catcher. Patrick, the right-hander, is still in this game. He's thrown 31 pitches so far in his third frame of work in relief of Kyle Harrison. Here's the 0-1. Just missed the inside corner with that cutter at 91. Austin Wells 0 for 2, strikeout, pop out. Count is 1-1. Coming set is the righty Patrick. It's a righty-lefty matchup. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Hit to the right side and foul down the first baseline. And that will be the second strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes to my boy. Give a holler from my boy, Austin Wells. Getting hot down in the pen is both Patrick and Hall, the pair of left-handers. Number 35 and 37, respectively. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Strike 3, sinker, inside corner, right above the knees. Just dotted it there on Wells, and that's the first out of the inning. A very impressive strikeout on the part of the righty Patrick here, who has now 2 1/3 innings of work. And they have the pair of lefties just standing by down there when the matchups call for it. Now, here is Paulie Goldschmidt. He's up for his 4th at-bat tonight. He is responsible for both of the Yankee runs. The lead-off home run back in the 4th, second pitch from Kyle Hendrick. Here's a pitch. Kyle Hendrick, just outside a sinker, down and away. To Goldschmidt, who's playing first base tonight, allowing Ben Rice to rest a bit at DH. It is a 1-0 count to the former MVP. Here's the pitch. Strike, cutter, inside quarter, 90 miles per hour, swung right underneath it. Dig Goldie. The count is 1-1. So 1-1, 1 out, top of the 7th, 2-0 Bombers. Goldie is setting up well off the plate there. Here's a 1-1 pitch. Strike, cutter, down and away, hit the plate a little over knee high at 90 miles per hour. And the count is 1-2. And, Hedrick, the lefty, he's just, trying to stay hot. He knows he's going to start the bottom of the 7th. Here's a 1-2 pitch. Hit on up the middle. Right there's the second baseman. He boots it. He throws to first, and Goldschmidt has beaten the throw easily. I think you have to call that an error on the second baseman, Terang. If I'm the official scorer here, I'm most certainly giving him an error. He should make that play, and Paul Goldschmidt had already clear beaten it out. And Paul Goldschmidt, it seems like every time he's in the game when he has to start, he can't do it every day anymore, but in this role, he has been just so valuable to the Yankees. Now, here's Ben Rice. He's 0 for 3. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike, sinker on the outer third of the plate. About thigh high to the lefty Rice. And the count is 0-1. So, Ben Rice hasn't looked quite right since he returned last night. Not too much by way of actually hitting something hard. Here's the 0-1. Grounded to the shortstop. He touches second one. On to first, double play. Yeah, that'll do it, though. So, the Yankees strand a runner at first here in the top of the 7th and end the inning by grounding into a 6-3 double play. And we head to the bottom of the 7th inning. It's 2-0 Bombers. This is Saturday Night Yankee Baseball in southern Wisconsin. I'm Paul D. This is Bombers Game Mike. So this game has been actually moving pretty quickly, all told. So the game originally started, first pitch scheduled for 7:10. I believe it ended up realistically starting about 7:11. I am sure that, that's funny because there are some ballparks that will take a sponsorship from 7-Eleven and make their start times always 7-Eleven so they can sponsor the start time. They will sponsor anything you can think of. Everything has to be monetized, and that's kind of how you'd expect it. But sometimes it gets really, really goofy. Yeah, Goldie. Yeah, Goldie. Right there in the chat. Hell yes. Hell yes. Hey, Willie Randolph. He's in the in the yes studio there in Stamford, Connecticut with Bob Lorenz. I still don't know what Bob Lorenz was thinking when he said that Spencer Jones' debut last night was great. 0 for 2 for the walk is acceptable. 2-6-1 Bombers, 0-2-0 Brewers. Through 6 innings, Cam Schlittler 2 hit him. No other way to put that. Kyle Harrison was okay. He was not great. Now, here's the lefty Hedrick, 137 in 2 games. It is a fly ball to deep right field. Going back is Judge. He's looking up, and that is a solo home run from Jake Bauers, and that will put the Brewers finally on the board. It is 2-1 Yankees here in the bottom of the 7th inning. That thing went 420 feet and an exit velo of 107 miles per hour. It landed several rows deep in the second deck in right center field. I've been out there before. That's a long freaking way from home plate. And Hedrick just put one middle, and that perfect lefty swing from Jake Bauers. He knew it. We all knew it. The crowd knew it. Christ almighty, they knew it in Southern Illinois. So 2-1 Yankees there on the solo job. Now here is the 5-hitter Vaughn, the right-handed hitter, lefty-righty matchup. Slider down and in, 83 miles per hour. Count is the count is 1-0. And if you're ever wondering if something is going to be a home run, and you want to know before anyone else, follow the outfielders, never the ball. Slider down and into the righty Vaughn for a ball. Count is 2-0. Hedrick is definitely not showing his usual flair out of the bullpen tonight. Here's a 2-0 pitch. Strike, slider, 84 mile per hour, middle. Count is 2-1. It's Vaughn. It's not Tyler Black. Yes, they make a lot of errors, I tell you. Here's a 2-1 pitch. Out and away, four-seam fastball, 95 miles per hour, nowhere close to the zone. Basically over the lefty's batter's box. Count is 3-1. Looking in and coming set is Hedrick. Here's the pitch. Just missed. Ball 4. So Vaughn, will take his base. And so Milwaukee now has a runner on first, nobody out, following the solo bombola to right center field by Jake Bowers. And now the lefty Frelick, he's up at the plate. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Old Sal Frelick. Line out, pop up. Runner on first, nobody out. 2-1 Bombers. He shows bunt, he pulls back. Slider down and away, out of the zone. The count is 1-0. Right now is a very delicate time. They have handed it off to their bullpen at this point. Playing in heavily is Rosario at third. Here's the pitch. Slider down and away, out of the zone. Frelick initially showed bunt, but pulled back. The count is 2-0. Up in the pen is the righty Cruz for the Bombers. He's getting hot down there. No, Hedrick does not seem to have his best stuff at the moment, and this is one hell of a time for his stuff to abandon him. He is now clutching on to a one-run Yankee lead. It is 2-1 Milwaukee. Literally, the very first batter that faces somebody other than Cam Schlittler, he deposits it 420 feet away in right center field. Not great. Coming set is Hedrick, the pitch. Up and in, four-seam fastball, 94 miles per hour. Once again, Frelick initially shows bunt and pulls back. And it would make a lot of sense in this case to bunt if you're able to pull it off. Coming set is Hedrick. He deals. Strike, four-seam fastball right down Broadway, about knee-high. Count is 3-1. David Bednar nor Cruz have come into a game since Tuesday. So the back end of their bullpens are right. Here's a 3-1 pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball, 94 miles per hour, out over the outer black of the plate, just above the knees to Frelick. And the count is full, 3-2. We got a runner on first, nobody out. Coming set is Hedrick. Lefty deals. Fly ball out there to center field. Coming there is Spencer Jones. He makes the catch. On the run coming in. He throws it back into Jazz Chisholm near second. And that's the first out of the inning. So Hedrick gets a bit lucky there. Frelick hits it almost right to Spencer Jones. Now, the 7-hitter Garrett Mitchell, who's playing center tonight, he's 1 for 2. He's still a lefty-lefty matchup. Rosario is still playing slightly in. Here's the pitch. Pops straight on up to shallow center field. Coming in is Jones. He slides and he makes the catch for the second out of the inning. The runner goes right on back to first. And he absolutely tracked that down. He got a good jump on it. He had an excellent route to the ball. He accelerated quickly, picked up speed, slid, and he was right there, baby. Second out of the inning. Very impressive on the part of the Yankee rookie center fielder in his second Major League game tonight. So we're getting to see a little bit of what he's capable of on defense. That's great. Now, here's the righty hitting third baseman, Rengifo. He's 0 for 2. A ball down and in. It's a four-seam fastball, 95 miles per hour. 0 for 2. Ground out, fielder's choice for Luis Rengifo. 14 pitches in this outing so far for Hedrick. The runner leads off first. Hedrick comes set. It's a lefty-righty matchup. Here's the pitch. Ground ball right there to Caballero. He takes a short way to second for the third out of the inning. However, the Brewers get one back on a huge solo home run from Jake Bauers. I'm not sure that it's landed yet. I swear to God, it is making its way into Lake County, Illinois right now. However, it is 2-1 Bombers going to the top of the 8th inning. This is Yankee baseball. This is Saturday night Yankee baseball from the upper Midwest. I'm Paul D. This is Bombers Game Mike. 2-1 Bombers. 2-1 Bombers. So, I imagine what's going to happen next, I'll have to look, is it'll probably go Cruz Bednar. I think we would all feel a lot better, a whole lot better, if indeed the Yankees were able to put together some kind of offense here, get a little bit of padding going into the bottom of the 8th and eventually the bottom of the 9th. However, due up for the Yankees is Judge, Bellinger, and Rosario. Right, left, right for the Bombers in the top of the 8th inning. The Yankees still have both of their ABS challenges left. Milwaukee only has one. They challenged a pitch way back, I think maybe in the second inning or something like that. And the call was upheld, so they lost that. But they still have one remaining in regulation. The Yankees have both. That's a positive thing. You want those available to you late in games when those kind of challenges can turn an entire outcome of a game. And I got to say, I'm really impressed with ABS so far. It's a technology that really has matured and has been wonderfully implemented into the game. And there's just so much to like about it. There's so much to like about it. Now, first pitch to Judge. Strike, sinker right down Broadway, 95 miles per hour. Count is 0-1 to the Yankee captain, who's 0 for 2 tonight with a walk and strikeout. Coming set is Patrick in his 4th inning in relief. Here's the pitch. Outside sinker, 95 miles per hour off the plate, but it in fact had the height. The count is 1-1. Patrick, 42 pitches in relief of Kyle Harrison, who was okay. The Yankees could have done a lot more against him, I'll tell you that. Now, here's the 1-1 pitch. Foul back over towards the Brewers on deck circle on a four-seam fastball that was down and away. Count is 1-2 to the reigning AL MVP for the Bombers. Nobody on, nobody out. 2-1 Bombers, top of the 8th inning. Coming set is the righty Patrick. And he deals up and away. A cutter, 89 miles per hour, nowhere near the zone. Evens out the count at 2-2. So a real tip of the hat here, the righty Patrick coming in relief here. Very impressive work. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Well out and away, a cutter, 90 miles per hour. That thing, had Contreras not had the quick glove hand to his right, would have definitely gone all the way to the backstop without a second thought. Now, the count is full to Aaron Judge. Nobody on, nobody out, top of the 8th. The righty comes set. He deals. Hit to the left field side and foul. Just slicing foul down the left field line, so we get to do this again. No doubt Aaron Judge would love to match the home run that was launched by Jake Bauers back in the bottom of the 7th inning, as would every Yankee fan in existence. Coming set. Here's a 3-2. Foul back on a cutter down and in at 90 miles per hour. Do it again. That is where we are. The infield is playing way back and largely straight away. Jazz is just to the right field side of the second base bag, so there's definitely a hole between him and Goldschmidt at first. Excuse me. The Brewers are playing back and straight away, and there's a big hole between Turang and Bowers at first. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Ball 4 down and away the cutter, and it's a leadoff walk to the Yankee captain, so the Yankees have a runner on first, nobody out in the top of the 8th inning. Lead off walks. The mortal sin of pitching. The mortal original sin. The original sin of pitching. And here comes Cody Bellinger. And it looks like the Brewers are going to the pen. Indeed they are. So we have ourselves a pitching change. Yeehaw. Let's see where he goes with it, folks. Let us see where Pat Murphy goes with this. But you have to give all the credit. I mean, seriously, just a lot of credit, a lot of respect to the reliever here. Patrick, he did a great job because Harrison only pitched 4 innings. Okay, so this was indeed going into what? His 4th inning of work? Yeah, this would have started his 4th frame. Now, he ultimately is credited with 3+ innings because he did not record an out here. And Aaron Judge, should he score, will be the responsibility of Patrick. But effectively, he has done an exceptional job for them when they thought they were going to get something a bit better from Kyle Harrison. And he did show his moments there. You can totally understand how he may turn out to be really just an incredible player, right? But Chad Patrick, he was a Chad on the mound, no doubt. No doubt. And coming in now is D.L. Hall, the left-hander, 27 years old, 6'1" at 209 pounds. In 15 games this season, he has a 0-0 record with a 1.59 ERA, over 17 innings pitched, 20 strikeouts, and a 1.18 whip. He's been pretty damn good. I think it's fair to say he's been pretty damn good so far in 2026 in 15 games. He's even started one. I'm assuming this probably was an opener thing, but, you get the idea. You get the idea. So, D.L. Hall is in the game. Here's the first pitch to Belly. Strike, down and away, a sinker to the lefty Bellinger, and the count is 0-1. So Aaron Judge is at first base after the leadoff walk. Hall comes set. Here's the pitch. Slider down and away and out of the zone. Count is 1-1. Bellinger's 1 for 3 with a single in the 5th. Very solid presence. He's the cleanup hitter tonight, in fact, with his torpedo bat. Here's a 1-1 pitch. 4-seam fastball just missed the outside corner. 96-mile-hour. Count is 2-1 to Cody Bellinger. And they are switching up balls there. Hall was not particularly happy with the condition of it. They go, on average, anywhere between 90 and 120 different baseballs in a single major league game. Now, here's a 2-1 pitch. Up and in, a sinker, 96 miles per hour. A bit of chin music there to Belly. And Bellinger never looked fazed by anything. All right? He could be looking at the hydrogen bomb from a mile away and be like, all right. That would be the look on his face. Now, here's the 3-1. Foul down the third base side and out of play. 4-seam fastball, 96 miles per hour, just below the belt. Did have the outer half of the plate. And the count is 3-2 to Belly. No, Hall has been quite good as a lefty out of the pen for the Brewers this season. I can see why Pat Murphy decided to go to him. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Ball 4 on a slider down and away and in the dirt. So the Yankees now have runners on first and second and nobody out in the top of the 8th inning. So they're getting an opportunity here Their last opportunity like this, similar, was when they had the bases loaded and nobody out in the top of the fourth, and they only got a run because off the bat of Paul Goldschmidt and the fact that Rengifo down there at third booted the thing, everybody was safe, and Rosario scored. Speaking of Rosario, he's here, the right-handed hitter, 1 for 2 with a walk and a double. Remember that? I remember that. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Chopped down to shortstop. Right there is the shortstop who throws the second one, and that's all they're going to get. So Bellinger is out on the force at second. Moving to third is Judge. Rosario makes it to first on the fielder's choice. And that is the first out of the inning. So first and third, 1 out, top of the 8th. And here comes Jazz Chisholm Jr. 1 for 2 with a walk and a single. This is a great opportunity for him to knock in some ducks off the pond. And boy, does he want to. So do the rest of us. It's a lefty-lefty matchup against D.L. Hall here, against the lefty hitting Chisholm. Here's the pitch. Inside, a sinker, 97 miles per hour, slightly getting out of the way. Does Chisholm. Doing a little dance there. Count is 1-0. Coming set at the belt is Hall. Here's the 1-0. Up and away. Four-seam fastball, 96 miles per hour. About letter high, though it certainly did have the plate. Count is 2-0. So right now, Jazz Chisholm is really just seeing if he can find one to drive. The infielder, the corner infielders are playing even with the bag. Here's the pitch. Chopped, foul, and at home plate. In fact, slightly hit himself in the foot on that sinker down and away. It's 2-1 to Jazz. Aaron Boone is just kind of standing there on the top step of the dugout. He wants Jazz to connect with something here. Even if it's just a fly ball that gets Judging from third, that would be, at the very least, a highly productive out and a run the Yankees most certainly could use in the biggest way at the moment. Hall looks in for the sign, and he comes set right there at the belt. He sits even on the rubber. Here's the pitch. Foul, back and out of play, behind home plate. Count is 2-2 to the Yankee lefty hitting second baseman. "11 pitches so far for Hall. Runners on first and second, which is something I absolutely should be correct. Runners on first and third. Here's the pitch. Just missed the sinker down and away. It was a bit too low, and they're going to use their second ABS challenge on that call. They will use it on that call. And it is indeed a strike, and that is the, I believe, second out of the inning. So down goes looking is Chisholm. He's not happy with himself, no doubt. And the Yankees still have runners on first and third, 2 out. And yeah, that ABS was dead on there. It wasn't even all that close, believe it or not. So he does not manage to even connect for a lazy fly ball to get Judge in. And it looks like we've got ourselves a conference on the mound with the pitching coach for Milwaukee. The entire infield comes in to have this chat. Caballero, the right-handed hitting shortstop, is at the plate. He's 0 for 2 tonight. And the conference is broken up, and play shall resume. Well, thank you so much, Jules E.W. I thank you so much for that. That makes me feel very good. Thank you. Thank you so much. That really makes my night. I'm glad you're enjoying this. Now, here is Caballero. Here's the first pitch. Inside, four-seam fastball, 96 miles per hour. And the count is 1-0. Well, you can always come back and enjoy it anytime you want. I do a lot of games. Not all of them, because that's not practical. This ain't my full-time gig, but I love doing it. Now, here's the 1-0 pitch to Caballero. Breaking ball well outside. It was a curveball, 80 miles per hour that just, slightly sailed over the lefty's batter's box. Counts 2-0 to Caballero. Runners on first and third, 2 out in the top of the 8th inning. 2-1 Bombers. And really, yes, was just showing everybody's on the bench, and that's a pretty good bench. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Curveball strike, outside corner at the knees to the righty Caballero. The count is 2-1. And you can definitely understand how Hall is very, very effective for the most part against lefties. Though clearly Pat Murphy has no issue with him facing a righty. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Hit a jam shot there right to the shortstop, and he makes the catch on the fly. And that will do it for the third out of the inning. So the Yankees had, at one point, runners on first and second, nobody out, and then runners on first and third and 1 out, and they cannot convert. I don't have a nice way of putting that. I think it's fair to say that the Yankees themselves would describe that situation and outcome as just poorly executed baseball. But whatever the case may be, they go to the bottom of the 8th inning. They are up 2-1 over the Brewers. And you know what? This is Saturday Night Yankee Baseball. I'm Paul D. And this is Bombers Game Mic. Cheers. Thank you so much. Hey, Jules EW, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. I do most of these things. Come back, say hi, and join me anytime you like. Anytime you like. I always enjoy meeting and conversing and enjoying a fun game with Yankee fans. Because, I do the more traditional, radio-style play-by-play. And usually, most of the time, I'm actually on camera. I'm doing this on the road tonight. However, it is different in one very, very big way. Whether you're doing it on traditional radio or you're doing it from the television booth box, there's one thing that's missing from both of those. A present, communicative audience with two-way communication via text. And I got to tell you, for all the prestige and history that comes with those two mediums as it relates to baseball, they're missing out on this. They really are. Not that there's much they can do about it, but there's a certain satisfaction when you're hanging out with like-minded fans, and we're just looking and enjoying a fun game on a Saturday night with the Yankees on the road in southern Wisconsin. And I do apologize if it takes me a minute or two and going to check the chat. Unfortunately, as much as I enjoy it and as much as I value it, there are just only so many breaks where you can go and take a look. Here's the first pitch from Hedrick. Out and away and a ball, and the count is 1-0. The 9-hitter Hamilton is up. Rosario is playing in at third. The rest of the infielders are playing straight away. Here's the 1-0 pitch. He shows bunt, pulls back. A sinker down for a ball. 91 miles per hour from Hedrick, who is in for his second frame of work. Correction is now Ryan McMahon, who's down in third. He has been substituted in defensively for Ahmed Rosario. Here's a 2-0 pitch. Popped on up behind the plate, out of play. And the count is 2-1. To the lefty Hamilton, who's 0 for 2, the shortstop. Fly out, ground out. Pretty solid defensively. 18 pitches so far for the lefty Hedrick. He's looking into Austin Wells for the sign. Wells sets up on the outside corner. Here's a 2-1 pitch. He shows bunt, and he bunts foul. And the count is now 2-2. So unless Hamilton is, just an absolutely devilish gambler with 2 strikes, there's very little chance he will try to pop one down again. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's probably not a great idea. So it's a 2-2 count here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Nobody out. It's 2-1 Bombers. Hedrick is in for his second frame of work. He comes set at the belt. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Swinging strike 3. Down goes Hamilton for the first out of the inning. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I have to do all of this perfectly manually with my mouse now because I don't have my Stream Deck because I'm not in my proper studio. So a strikeout here on the part of Hedrick. Wonderful stuff, that is. And Booney is going to the bullpen. It is 1 out, and he's going to Doval, of all people. He's going to Camilo Doval? Really? Is he drunk? Has he been drinking too much Wisconsin beer? God. Let's put it this way. My feelings on Camilo Doval are the following. He has electric stuff. He seldom knows where it is going, and he is a pitcher in name only. Doval is a thrower. That is not a compliment. It really isn't. Doval is a freaking thrower. Why isn't Cruz coming to... I mean, if it's simply a matter of Booney playing some historical numbers here, okay, fine. I can at least accept that in a rational way. But with a 2-1 lead on the road in the bottom of the eighth... a 1-run lead in the bottom of the eighth inning. I mean, luckily there's nobody on. But still, every Brewers batter who comes to the plate, and they're coming up to the top of the lineup now. So you got Chourio, you've got Turang. But man, I hope this doesn't come back to bite the Yankees. I really hope. I mean, we cross our fingers, right? Well, whatever the case is. Que sera, sera, folks. Que sera, sera. We wait for Doval to get on the mound and take a few of those last warm-up tosses. A lot of Willie Randolph highlights with him in the Yes Studio down in Stamford, Connecticut. He and Dellin Betances, too. Yeah. I love Willie Randolph. I mean, I was alive for part of when he was a player. First pitch to Chourio. It's a sinker. It's initially called a ball, but it is being challenged by Austin Wells. So we have an ABS challenge on the call of a ball. Let's see what happens here. And the call is upheld, and the Yankees lose their first of 2 ABS challenges. It is a 1-0 count to Jackson Chourio, the left fielder tonight. What is going on with the home plate umpire at the moment? He has to... Something happened to the trio. Doval, the righty, is in for Hedrick. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Inside a sinker, 98 miles per hour, clear out of the zone. Chourio was not remotely tempted. He's 0 for 3. He reached an error in the third. Count is 2-0 to the Brewers left fielder. Now, here's the 2-0 pitch. Popped him straight up behind the plate, giving chase slightly is right there underneath it is Austin Wells. It hangs up, and he makes the catch for the second out of the inning. Well, I think that is about as good an outcome as anybody could have hoped for at the moment. So, bottom of the eighth now with 2 out. And the second baseman, the lefty hitting Turang, who's 0 for 3 tonight, he's coming up on the plate. So we got a righty-lefty matchup with Doval. Bryce Turang is hitting .288 with 5 home runs and 22 RBIs and a .907 OPS this year. So he's no pushover. Doval comes set above the belt with his back almost to the plate. Here's the pitch. Up and away, a cutter, 99 miles per hour, but nowhere close to the zone. So if you've never actually seen Doval's windup when he pitches, he keeps his back about so that the hitter, especially the left-handed hitter, is looking right at his numbers. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Inside a sinker, 98 miles per hour, not near the zone. I can only describe his motion as half Kevin Brown. And if you're old enough to have seen Kevin Brown, you will understand what I mean completely. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Foul back down the third base side on a sinker down and in, and the count's 2-1. Because he's on the extreme first base side of the rubber, and then he takes his left shoulder, which juts out to about 35-degree angle towards the left field side of home plate, so they're basically looking at his back. And here's a 2-1 pitch. Foul down the third base side and out of play. That was a 99-mile-per-hour sinker right down Broadway, and the count evens out at 2-2. And then on top of that, he does a little bit of a twirl back and then throws it in. It's half Kevin Brown. That's the only thing I can really compare it to, really. Now, here's the 2-2 pitch. Foul back behind the plate and out of play. And the count is still 2-2 to Turang. Right now, the Yankees have 2 goals. Get the ball to Bednar and try to get a little bit of insurance in the top of the ninth. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Hit to the right side and pass Paul Goldschmidt into right field. Fielding the ball is Judge. He throws it on in to second. Picking up the throw is Caballero. And so it's a 2-out hit for Turang. Indeed, a 2-out single to right for Turang. And now here comes the righty hitting catcher, Contreras. 3-hitter tonight for Milwaukee. Runner on first, 2 out. It's a righty-righty matchup here. Here's the first pitch from Duvall. He goes down to second. The throw is... He is safe. He beats the throw down to second base. And that is really the thing about Duvall and the way he throws the windup. He did a little bit of a slide step there, but Turang got a great jump on it. And Austin Wells actually made an excellent throw, and Jazz applied the tag very well. The thing is, he just didn't give any of them a chance. And Turang right there. He beat it easy. So runner on second with 2 out here. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Hit to the left field side and through for a base hit. Fielding is Bellinger. Coming around is Turang. Here's the throw. Here's the play. And he is safe at the plate. And we have a tie game on the RBI single from Contreras. It is a 2-2 ball game. Well, you know what? I absolutely 1,000% first guessed Aaron Boone going to Camilo Doval in this situation. I have no idea why he did it. I don't know why anybody would go to him, period. Because if I am merely being charitable here, Camilo Doval, he's only a pitcher on the roster. The guy is a bleeding thrower. First pitch sinker, tap foul at home plate. He is a bloody thrower. He is a bloody thrower. I have no other way of putting that. He has not pitched very well. He came in with the huge lead in the ninth in the third game against Texas on getaway day back on Thursday. And luckily, the Yankees there had a 7-run lead. And even then, he started making it interesting and, quite frankly, annoying when you're up by 7 runs in the top of the ninth on getaway day. Now, he throws back over to first. Back is Contreras, easy. Up at the plate is the lefty Jake Bauers, who actually got the Brewers on the board just this past inning with a huge solo job that cut it down to 2-1. It is an 0-1 count. He throws back over to first. Contreras is back. The lefty Bauers at the plate. Duvall is ahead in the count, 0-1. So I have to know why, from Aaron Boone, he chose to do that. Because I first guessed him on that. I won't do the second guess thing. That's, that ain't cool. That ain't fair. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Up and away, cutter, 97 miles per hour to the lefty Bauers and clear out of the zone. Count is 1-1. Up in the pen is Fernando Cruz, who most certainly should have been the one who came in relief of Hedrick. Coming set is Doval. And here's the 1-1 pitch. Chop foul down the first base side and out of play. It was a sinker down and into Bauers. And the count is 1-2. So if Duvall gets lucky, he might throw one that will miss a swinging bat by Bauers. That's about as charitable as I can be right now. He comes set above the belt. Now here's the 1-2 pitch. Out and away, a sinker, 97 miles per hour. Basically caught and over the righty batter's box. The count evens at 2-2. And yeah, Yes is showing that replay from that solo home run from Bauers earlier. Like I said, I'm quite certain that landed in Lake County, Illinois. Now, here's a 2-2 pitch. Up and away, a sinker, 97 miles per hour, not nearly close to the zone. So he went from 1-2 to 3-2 pretty damn quickly. And those weren't even waste pitches. I'm just not convinced he can consistently execute his pitches at the moment. He comes set at the belt. Contreras leads off first. He's going to go on this one. And here's a 3-2 pitch. Hit to the right side. Right there is Jazz Chisholm to his right. He throws to first in time to end the bottom of the eighth. But the damage is done, folks. The damage is done on the RBI single by Contreras, following Turang stealing second, with Doval completely napping on him. And the game is now tied at 2. And we go to the top of the ninth inning, all tied at 2 at Miller Park. The Yankees have their work cut out for them, to say the least. To say the least. It's not a brilliant position to be in. I can't pretend that it is. So, we await the top of the ninth inning. Let us see. All right. They got Spencer Jones leading off. He's in the 8th hole tonight. And then he'll be followed by Austin Wells and then Paul Goldschmidt, who's the leadoff hitter and playing first tonight, giving Ben Rice a half day off in a way, as he is the designated hitter this evening. And Ben Rice, both last night and so far tonight, has not had anything that I would consider to be really great at bats. I mean, the Mizorowski stuff, fine. That's true of every human being on earth that holds a bat against him. But tonight he just hasn't looked right. His timing is a bit off. I don't know if the hand is still bothering him and it's an issue with his swing. It's always so hard to say without a bit more information and context here. Well, we're heading to the top of the ninth inning, and it looks like Booney is going to pinch hit for Spencer Jones with Trent Grisham, the lefty, coming in off the bench. So what was his bench going into the 8th inning, he got one of them off by Ryan McMahon replacing Rosario. Now here's Aaron Ashby, the right-hander, 235, 23 innings pitched, 14 walks, 35 strikeouts. Batters are batting .200 against him. And now Trent Grisham, the pinch hitter here for Spencer Jones. He'll be replacing him defensively in center field. Correction, the left-hander Ashby. Correction, so it's a lefty-lefty matchup here. That's the reason he's in the game. Now, here's the first pitch. Curveball inside and off the plate at 83 miles per hour to the lefty hitting Trent Grisham, who has definitely been putting it together. Back on Thursday, he was the player of the game. He's the one who broke it open in the 6th. The Yankees never looked back. Now, here's the 1-0 pitch. Breaking ball strike down and in to the lefty Trent Grisham. The count is 1-1 to the Yankee center fielder. Ashby comes set at the belt. Now, here's the 1-1 pitch. Sinker downstairs over the plate, but not nearly high enough. The count is 2-1. David Bednar is up in the pen getting hot for the Yankees. Well, they always say don't bring your closer in a tie game on the road. Here's the pitch. Sinker up and away, just missed the zone at 99 miles per hour. That is an incredible sinker. The count is 3-1. It never ceases to amaze me how hard all of these guys throw now. So, Grisham's ahead in the count. A sinker strike right down Broadway. Once again, 99 mile per hour sinker. The count is full. 3 balls, 2 strikes. It is a tie game here. We're all knotted at 2. Here in the second game of 3 in Milwaukee. Cam Schlittler was amazing, but as the Brewers have tied the game, he is no longer factoring into the decision. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Check swing, did he go around? Yes, says the home plate umpire. Grisham could not hold up on the slider down and away, and that's the first out in the top of the ninth for the Yankees. So Ashby coming in and showing some really nasty stuff here. Really nasty stuff. Home plate umpire didn't even need to appeal down to the third base umpire. Yeah, seriously. If Grisham had made contact, it would have been a double. So 1 on, nobody out, 2-2. Top of the ninth. Here's the first pitch to Wells. Slider down and away, well out of the zone. Third base umpire says no. Austin Wells did check his swing. Austin Wells, he's 0 for 3 tonight. 2 strikeouts and a pop-out. Coming set is the lefty Ashby. It's a lefty-lefty matchup. Here's a pitch. Up and away, a sinker, 98 miles per hour. Didn't miss by much, but they are not going to challenge it. They do not consider it worth it at this point. Coming set is the lefty Ashby. Here's a 2-0 pitch. Fouled down the third base side and out of play. Another sinker at 99 miles per hour out over the plate. Wells, he can't do anything about it. The righty Uribe is getting hot down in the Brewer pen. Here's the pitch. What are we calling that, Blue? He's calling it a ball, at least initially, but there is an ABS challenge on that. If it is upheld, it is a strike. So we go from 3-1 to 2-2. The Brewers maintain their last remaining ABS challenge in regulation. They're seeing it on the high. That was close, but ABS is pretty damn accurate. So it's a 2-2 count here. Time is granted by the home plate umpire at the behest of Wells. So he'll step out of the box temporarily. Very tight here late, folks. Ashby comes set at the belt. Here's a 2-2. That is a slider down in the dirt. Over the plate, does not have the height. And the count is full. 3-2 to the Yankee catcher. All knotted at 2 here in the top of the ninth. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Hit to the right side. Fielding there is Terang. He throws to first in time for the second out of the inning. Quite underwhelming. Now, here's Paulie Goldschmidt, who's 3 for 4 tonight. He is responsible for both of the Yankee runs coming off of his bat. The first one was a solo home run to left center field that led off the game on the second pitch. And the next one was due to a booted ball by Rengifo at third that scored the run. Here's the pitch. Curveball up and away out of the zone, 84 miles per hour to the righty hitting Goldschmidt. Yeah, and that one back in the first went 419 feet, an exit velo of 105.1. Here's the pitch. Curveball well out and away. The count is 2-0. Yeah, solo home run, 2 singles, 2 RBIs. Goldschmidt has been the Yankee offense tonight. Now, here's the 2-0 pitch. Strike, sinker right down Broadway, 99 miles per hour. The count is 2-1 to Goldie, who is playing first tonight. Ben Rice is DHing. Time is granted by the home plate umpire at the behest of Goldschmidt. Ashby is back on the mound. It's a lefty-righty matchup here. Coming set is Ashby. And the 2-1 pitch. Strike, sinker, inside corner just above the knees, and it's a 2-2 count. So Goldie is somewhat on the defensive here. Coming set is the lefty Ashby. Here's the 2-2. Strike 3 swung right over the top of a curveball down and away for the third and final out of the inning. So the Yankees go in order in the top of the ninth. We go to the bottom of the ninth, all tied at 2 at Miller Park. And once again, I will never call it American Family Field. Ever. Not a chance. Not a chance. I am very much in favor of ballparks being named after beer or alcohol more generally. Though I must say, I'm not looking forward to the first major league venue that is actually, it's called something like, DraftKings Field or DraftKings Park. I think we can all live without that. And I hope we can. It really is strange, though. I may sound like a dinosaur here, but just as a student of the history of the game, after 1919, the stigma with gambling in baseball and resisting against it had been maintained so long. The stigma was still so real that it took over a century before they were willing to accept it in. Then when all these online fantasy gambling and all this stuff that ended up getting legalized in a whole bunch of states, then these companies had a whole bunch of money. And on top of that, Major League Baseball is making more revenue than ever. But with all the regional broadcasting right distribution issues and not getting those revenues, that's one of the reasons the owners are very likely going to begin a lockout in the early December later this year. But that's for another time. This is still early May. I don't really want to walk down that road. I just don't love that. Gambling's always been part of the game. Not so much in the clubhouse. Pete Rose was the last one. So now here comes David Bednar, the Yankee closer. He has a 3.52 ERA and 15 in the third innings pitch, 5 walks, 18 strikeouts. Batters are batting .281 against him. Coming in is the DH, Blake Perkins. He's a left-handed hitter. So Booney has decided to bring his closer in a tie game on the road. And generally you never do that because, it's... Or is it a tie game at home? I don't fucking remember. I'm too tired. I am. I admit it. Trent Grisham is out in center field, replacing Spencer Jones defensively. He pinch hit for him back in the 8th inning. And still with the mask and the home plate umpire, they're still fiddling with that freaking thing. But one thing is for sure in baseball, if you're the home team, you do actually have a structural built-in home field advantage, which is to say, starting in the bottom of the 9th, if you have any ability to take the lead, you win. You don't have to defend it. You don't have to put down the other side for another 3 outs. So, sitting on our hands here are we. And into the plate is Perkins. The mask issue has been figured out for the home plate umpire. Bednar comes set at the chest. Here's the first pitch. Strike, curveball down and in at the knees on the inside corner to the lefty Perkins, who's hitting now in the 5 spot. The count is 0-1. Coming set is Bednar. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Up and in, four-seam fastball, 96 miles per hour. But too high and 2 in. Count is 1-1. Bednar has his sign. He comes set at the chest. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Hit out towards the right field line and hooking foul. Just a big, long, loud strike by Perkins. The count is 1-2. Bednar has to pin him down here. There is no breathing room coming into this tie game in the bottom of the 9th on the road. Everybody's at the top of the step for Milwaukee. Here's the pitch. Hit to the left side. Caballero fields glove side. Throws to first in time. He beats Perkins by a step at first base, and he's out. And that's his first out of the inning. Yeah. Ranges to his right. Plants himself. Gets a nice strong throw to Goldschmidt, who gives him a big old target down there. He beats Perkins by a step. So that'll be the first out of the inning here in the bottom of the 9th. We are all tied at 2 at Miller Park. Late thunder by the Brewers. And now here's Frelick. Here's the pitch. Just up and away, a four-seam fastball, 96 miles per hour. Just missing the zone. Count is 1-0. Sal Frelick, he's 0 for 2 with a pair of lineouts. Coming set is Bednar. The pitch. Popped straight on up in the infield. Underneath it there is Jazz Chisholm. He makes the catch for the second out of the inning. Well, 6 pitches, 2 outs over 6 pitches for Bednar. And now here's the center fielder, Garrett Mitchell, who's 1 for 3 tonight. He singled back in the 5th. He is a left-handed hitter, so we have a righty-lefty matchup with David Bednar on the bump at the moment. He looks in for the sign from Austin Wells and comes set at the chest. Here's the first pitch. Whoa, up and away. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles per hour. About helmet high, though away, to the benefit of Mitchell there. Count is 1-0. Bednar looks in, sets at the chest. The pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball, 96 miles per hour, up and in to Mitchell, who swung right on through that baby. And the count is 1-1. Mitchell is back into the box. David Bednar is set. The 1-1 pitch. Swinging strike, splitter down and away from the lefty Mitchell. And the count is now 1-2. So David Bednar is 1 strike away from sending this game to extra innings. Back into the box is the lefty Mitchell. Looking in for the sign is Bednar. He has what he's looking for. He's from the stretch. The pitch. Up and away, four-seam fastball, 96 miles per hour. Too high, though it did have the plate. And the count is 2-2. Yeah, you can definitely tell Aaron Boone over there is had a lot of nervous energy at the moment. Set is Bednar. The pitch. Splitter down and in. Holding off on that one is Mitchell. And the count is now full 3-2 to Milwaukee's 7-hitter. Set is Bednar. 3-2 pitch. Strike 3. Down he goes for the 3rd out of the inning. A strikeout swinging on the part of David Bednar. We're going to extra innings, folks. It's Saturday Night Yankee Baseball. We're going to extra innings. Who would have thunk it? I would have thunk it. All tied at 2. We get some free baseball at Miller Park tonight. It's Saturday Night Yankee Baseball. This is Extra Innings. I'm Paul D. And this is Bombers Game Mic. Well, the top of the 10th. Now, I know, here's the thing about the extra innings. It's all well and good. Let me get that ghost runner up there at second. Stupid rule. I'm so thankful they don't do that in the playoffs or any games that seriously matter. I know it was a pandemic rule that never went away, and we all know it would never go away. But it's just never sat with me well. But let's see what happens here. The Yankees they've had their opportunities. I mean, they really have had their opportunities. And the only guy that's ever been able to execute in even the smallest way has been Paul Goldschmidt. He has been the Yankee offense tonight. Well, of course, starting off in the top of the 10th inning, they're going to have their ghost runner down at second. So, in theory, if you play some ABC baseball, you hit a ground ball to the right side and a medium fly ball, you can take the lead on that. But it's not always as easy as it sounds. Okay. We're all knotted at 2 in the top of the 10th inning here. Who's the ghost runner down at second? Ah, I see. It looks like, is that Schumann down there at second as their runner? It might be. It might be. And Ben Rice here is going to lead it off for the Bombers. This is going to be a lefty-lefty matchup. Ashby's coming out for his second frame of work. Ben Rice is 0 for 4 tonight. He has not looked great. I can tell you that. Now, coming set is Ashby. Here's the first pitch. Sinker upstairs. And called a strike by the home plate umpire. Count is 0-1 to the lefty Rice. It is a lefty-lefty matchup. Here's the pitch. Foul back behind the plate and out of play. That was a sinker up and in at 98 miles per hour to the lefty Rice. And he is in the hole to Ashby. No balls, 2 strikes. The Yankee captain, the reigning AL MVP, sits on deck. Ashby looks in for the sign. He comes set at the belt. Now, here's the 0-2 pitch. Down and away, a sinker into the dirt. Not even remotely tempting for Ben Rice. Count is 1-2. So you should be sitting on your hands, folks. Sitting on your hands, because that's kind of what the situation is. It's a 1-2 count to Ben Rice. Coming set is the lefty Ashby. He holds, looking down at second, and here's the pitch. Check swing. Did he go around on the slider in the dirt? No, says Blue down the third baseline. Ben Rice manages to hold his swing on the slider in the dirt, and he was not even that close. When you get the side angle there of him, he very clearly held his swing. Cheers to him. So it's a 2-2 count. Ghost runner down at second in the extra innings rule. Nobody out. It's a 2-2 count. Here's the pitch. Looking, strike 3, a slider down and in, catches him at the knees on the inner third of the plate, and that's the first out of the inning here for the Bombers in extra innings. Ben Rice has looked bad at the plate. I mean, he's just looked bad the last 2 days. Anytime you play every day and you're swinging every day, there's a rhythm to that. There's a preparation to that. There's a timing mechanism to that. But you also have to wonder if his hand's still bothering him. Now, Aaron Judge gets the intentional walk. He'll take his base down at first. They're choosing to face Bellinger in the lefty-lefty matchup. So runners on first and second with 1 out here in the top of the 10th inning. We're all tied at 2. And here is Cody Bellinger, who's 1 for 3 tonight. Ashby looks in. It's a lefty-lefty matchup. The pitch. Strike, slider down and in on the inner third of the plate, right above the knees, and the count is 0-1. 291, 5 home runs, 28 RBIs. Bellinger, though, is ice. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Hit to the left side. Going back there is Trio. He makes the catch. And that will hold the runners at both first and second, so it is not a productive out. It ends up getting lined right to Chirrillo out and left, and that is the second out of the innings here in extras. And now here comes the lefty Ryan McMahon, who was substituted earlier defensively for Ahmed Rosario. 37 games and 219 average at the moment. This is his first at-bat of the game. It is a lefty-lefty matchup. Here's the first pitch. Strike, slider, out and away on the outer third, just above the knees. The count is 0-1. Ryan McMahon, in all fairness, has been getting his offensive game to a lot more together in the last 2.5 weeks. About a month ago, he was hitting .069. Holding is Ashby. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swinging strike and a slider down in the dirt away, and the count is now 0-2. So Ashby now is 1 strike away from sending this to the bottom of the 10th. And he swung over that. He missed that pitch by a foot with his bat. That just looked bad. 26 pitches so far for Ashby and 1 2/3 innings of work here tonight in relief for the Brewers. Ashby comes set at the belt. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Hit on up the middle and through for a base hit. Coming around third is the runner. Coming home, he will score. And that will be a 3-2 Yankee lead. And Aaron Judge is caught up between third and second, and he is tagged out. But the run still scores, and the Yankees have taken a 3-2 lead. Oh, okay. Well, that'll end the inning. That will end the inning. And the Yankees now have a lead to protect in the bottom of the 10th. Bad base running there by Aaron Judge, getting caught up between second and third on that play, which is inexcusable because it was a play where the ball was hit right up the middle, fielded by the center fielder. It was all right in front of him. The center fielder obviously tried to throw it into home. It got cut off. By that point, Aaron Judge had been around second base. He was between third and second. They managed to pick it up, catch him in the pickle, and end the inning. However, the Yankees have now taken the lead going to the bottom of the 10th inning. And on the score bug there, I am leaving the ghost runner because there's no reason not to. That is not an error. That is simply my anticipating reality here. And now it is up to David Bednar. I believe he'll be out for a second inning of work. I don't know why he wouldn't be. However, the Yankees do have a 3-2 lead on an extremely clutch single, an RBI clutch single from Ryan McMahon, who through so much of this year has struggled offensively. But in the last 2.5 weeks, I remember probably about just 3 weeks ago, maybe slightly more, playing almost every day because he's kind of in a platoon with Rosario. They like putting in Rosario against the left-handed starters, right-handed starters with McMahon. McMahon's a far better defender down at third. And he was batting .069. He wasn't even on the interstate. And Yankee fans, quite rightly, were starting to freak out, thinking, hey, this guy can't hit the broadside of a barn, and we're paying him $16 million a year. Are we looking at a DJ LeMahieu situation? But right now, he came through for them in the biggest way with that 2-out RBI knock right there up the middle that scored the ghost runner from second. So the question is, can David Bednar put this one to bed? I don't have that answer for you. I wish I did. No, Fernando Cruz is now in the game. 17 games with a 2.63. He bluffs back the ghost runner to second by person of Garrett Mitchell, the center fielder, a speedster by nature. Now, here's the first pitch to Rengifo. Splitter down and in. Not particularly close to the zone to the lefty third baseman for Milwaukee. And the count is 1-0. So Fernando Cruz is in the game. Both Goldschmidt and McMahon are playing in at the corners. Coming set is Cruz. Here's the pitch. Showing bunt there is Rengifo. He pulls back on the splitter down and in. Once again out of the zone. It was almost an identical pitch to the first. The one that immediately succeeded it. And the count is now 2-0. Luis Rengifo 0 for 3. Ground out. Two fielders' choices. Coming set is Cruz. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Showing bunt. And it goes all the way to the backstop. And the runner will go to third. Oh boy, that is a bad job right there. That is a bad job right there. There's just no other way of putting it. And it looks here as if they're simply going to put on Rengifo. I believe we saw Booney giving him the 4 just to say, take your base. But I'll confirm that in just a moment. No, they did not. So it's a 3-0 count to Rengifo. Coming set at the belt is Cruz. Here's the 3-0 to Rengifo. Strike. Four-seam fastball. Right over the plate, just at the knees. 93 miles per hour. The count is 3-1. Playing even with the bag are the corner infielders. Playing in are both Jazz Chisholm and Caballero straight away, but on the infield grass. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Ball 4 to Rengifo. He will take his base. This is a debacle at the moment. And here comes Contreras, the 3-hitter, the righty. Sanchez. Gary Sanchez is pinch hitting here in the 9-hole. Well, we know about Gary Sanchez, don't we? I wonder what he's thinking right now. Who could imagine what he's thinking right now? Goldschmidt is keeping Rengifo close over at first, because he would represent the winning run in this case. Runners on first and third, and nobody out. 3-2 Bombers here in the bottom of the 10th. Fernando Cruz is on the bump. Gary Sanchez at the plate. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike. Slider right down Broadway. He pulled off that one on his swing. Gary Sanchez was looking to basically have that ball land somewhere around Jupiter, but he swung right underneath it for the first strike of the at-bat. Looking in is Cruz for the sign from Wells. Coming set at the belly, he is. And here's the 0-1 pitch. Popped on up. Right there coming in is Judge. He makes the catch, and he throws on home. Is there a play? And he overthrows it, but the runner will have to stay at third. So the first out of the inning was a fly ball to right center field about medium length. He let Judge get it because he's the one with the arm. And once he gets it, he throws it on into home. He overthrows Austin Wells at the plate. However, they respect his arm so much, and of course, Cruz properly backing him up on the play to make sure it didn't go to the backstop. They keep the tying run at third. A very impressive defensive outing right there, both by Judge and especially by Cruz, knowing to back up that throw at home plate. So he saves himself a run. And it looks like something happened a little odd on the left ankle there for Cruz. I don't know if he got caught up in the turf somehow when backing up that throw. But let's see what happens here. He's getting back there up on the bump. They might take a look. No, he's fine. He's not worried. So runners on first and third, one out. It's a 3-2 Bomber lead here in the bottom of the 10th. They're going to let him take a couple of practice tosses here to make sure that his mechanics is able to throw properly. Yeah, he's looking all right. He's looking all right. They'll maybe give him one more, but I think generally they'll be fine. Well, any case, here comes the leadoff hitter for the Brewers, the left fielder, Jackson Chourio, who's 0 for 4, reached in the third. He's in left field tonight. Runners on first and third, one out. It's a 3-2 Bomber lead here in the bottom of the 10th inning. Playing in slightly in the corner is Ryan McMahon. Goldschmidt is holding Rengifo over at first. Here's the first pitch. Swinging strike on a slider down and away at 84 miles per hour. Chourio just swung right over the top of that one down and away, and the count is 0-1 to the righty hitting left fielder for Milwaukee. The tension, you could cut the tension here with a knife. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Foul back behind the plate on a splitter that ended up going up and in. Chourio basically did Cruz a favor there, making contact and fouling it back. Hell, if he stood still, it might have plunked him on the forearm, and they would have had the bases loaded. But Cruz is ahead here, 0-2 on the count. Tying run at third, winning run at first. The Yankees have no breathing room here. Looking in for the sign is Cruz. He comes set. Looking in, holding. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Hit to the left side and fielded by Caballero, who cannot get off the throw, and it is a tie game. The runner will score from third. So we are all tied up here in the bottom of the 10th inning. It was a ground ball to the far right of Caballero, who was playing more shaded up towards second base. He couldn't quite get over to it. The play was developing very, very slowly. If he had even been able to pick up, there's no reason to think he would have beaten Chourio on the throw. So we are now all tied at 3. And here comes Aaron Boone to take the ball from Cruz. Coming up to the plate is the lefty second baseman, Turang. And it looks like Tim Hill's going to come into the game here to face Turang. Then Contreras, you have the right-hander, of course. And then I believe you have the lefty Bowers after that. So it makes all the sense in the world to go to Tim Hill. And in fairness, Tim Hill is one of the relievers in the Yankee bullpen that I think is actually pretty good. Now, I hope I don't jinx the hell out of him by just saying that now. But the one thing that really has been, undoubtedly, a weakness of this Yankee team that has not yet been fully exposed has been the back end of the bullpen. And I've said this many times. For every team, even really good ones, over 162 and the playoffs, the bullpen is an evolving situation. It is always an evolving situation. You know, those 7 or 8 guys you keep back there that show up on the opening day roster, maybe half of them are still there in the first game of the playoffs. You pick up an odd part here that ends up coming through for you. Make a trade for a big piece there over the course of the season. And David Bednar has really, in many ways, somewhat been quite lucky, because I would not say he's been particularly great. I mean, hitters are hitting, in the high 200s against him, maybe low 300s? But then you have guys like Camilo Doval, which, again, he's just a thrower. I actually like Fernando Cruz a great deal. Brent Hedrick, despite his performance tonight, overall has been great. though you wonder, based on how often he's used, if his left arm will be beef jerky by the time April comes around. Now, here's Tim Hill, the lefty, 17 games, a 1.13 ERA, 16 innings pitched, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. Batters are batting 196 against him. He's here to face the lefty Bryce Terang, the second baseman. He's 1 for 4 tonight with a single in the 8th, a run scored, and a stolen base. He basically built that tying run back in the 8th for the Brewers. Runners on first and second. 1 out. We're all tied at 3 in the bottom of the 10th. Here's the first pitch. Inside, a sinker, 87 mile per hour, and out of the zone. The count is 1-0 to Terang. Playing even with the bag on the left side is McMahon. Holding the runner at first is Goldschmidt. Here's the pitch. Four-seam fastball outside, 88 miles per hour. The count is now 2-0. So the winning run for the Brewers is represented down at second base. Coming set is the lefty Hill at the belt. Here's the pitch. Strike, sinker, right down Broadway, 87 miles an hour. Count is 2-1 to Terang. You can cut the tension with a knife. Coming set is Hill. Here's a pitch. Just missed down and away, and we have an ABS challenge here, I think, on that one by Austin Wells. It is going to be very close. I thought it was a strike initially. And it is indeed a strike. So we go from a 3-1 count to a 2-2 count. And the Yankees retain this extra innings challenge of theirs. Coming set is Hill. Here's a 2-2. Chopped right up to Hill. He throws over the third with man covering, and he actually ends up hitting the runner going into third. And the ball does not get away, and thank God for that. And Rengifo getting hit with that thing. I don't know exactly where it hit him. It hit him somewhere on the backside. But he is definitely in a lot of pain laying there on the ground. In some ways, I'm really surprised Hill didn't go and try and make the play at first, because it would have been 2 outs, and they would have had to score on either a hit or an error. But no, Rengifo is down right now. He's a little shaken up there, and you can't blame him. I mean, Hill just kind of whipped that thing over there. McMahon wasn't even there in time to get the throw. He never would have beat Rengifo and get the force on the play. But whatever the situation, we are all tied at 3 with the bases loaded and 1 out. And the 3-hitter, the righty hitting catcher Contreras, who's 2 for 4 tonight, and an offensive force in his own respect. See, that was such a weird play that he decided to go to third on that. It would have been the second out getting the easy one at first, and they would have only been able to score on a hit or an error. Ooh, maybe it got him on the head. I can't tell. It was somewhere in the upper body near the neck. Ooh, I think it got it on the hand or his hand holding his helmet when he was going in to slide. Let's get the slow motion here. It got him on his left hand, which he was holding over his helmet as he slid into third base. Weird play. Weird play. Well, it's all on a knife's edge for the Yankees here in extras. All of the pressure at the moment is sitting on the left arm of Tim Hill, who otherwise has been fantastic this year. All tied at 3, bottom of the 10th, bases loaded, 1 out. I mean, the Yankees would love to get a double play. All the infielders are playing even with the bag in case they get a ground ball and they have to cut the runner down at home with the force. Stepping into the box is the righty catcher Contreras, 2 for 4, the 3-hitter tonight. Coming set is Hill. Here's the first pitch of Contreras. Foul down the first base side and out of play. Count is 0-1 to Milwaukee's catcher. This is a lefty-righty matchup. Contreras hitting .291 on the year, 3 home runs, 25 RBIs, 763 OPS. A very offensively capable catcher. Here's the 0-1. Hit on down the first base side, giving chase over towards the wall is Judge. He makes the catch, and he is throwing home. There's the play to the plate, and the Brewers win. 4-3 on the RBI walk-off sacrifice fly to right field by Contreras. And the Brewers win in 10 innings, a walk-off job in extra innings. So a very tough loss tonight for the Bombers in extra innings, wasting an absolutely golden start by Cam Schlittler. This one was a difficult one to swallow. Oh, boy. You see it out here. Underneath it right there is Judge in deep right field. He goes, he throws home. The throw seems on line, but it comes off. Had it been on line, it would have been bang, bang at best. But William, Contreras, walk-off sacrifice fly, and the Brewers have it 4-3 here on Saturday night. A very, very disappointing loss. I'm sorry, folks. I hope to be the bearer of good news, but just not tonight. And the Brewers are absolutely living this shit up at the moment. It's absolutely awful to watch. So 4-3 Brewers in 10. 4-3 Brewers in 10. This is definitely not the way you want to set it up. Well, I want to thank you for joining me and spending part of your evening here listening to the Yankees in Milwaukee and enjoying the call on Bombers game mic. I may be around tomorrow to call the game, which I believe is a 2:10 Eastern start time. I believe the broadcast will be on Yes, but join if I'm here. Subscribe, hit the bell. You'll know when I go live, and I'm starting to put up updates for when this thing actually starts on the days they actually happen. So thank you so much for joining me. 4-3 is the final in 10. Milwaukee has it. We'll be back tomorrow, 2:10 start Eastern. I hope you have a wonderful night. And for all it's worth, Bombers game mic over and out.